dito sa kanilang mga hakbang at kung ano ang inaasahan sa impeachment hearings ng kaso nito si Vice President Sara Duterte. And of course, mamaya ay subukan din nating makumusta ang panig ng Senado dahil sila yung maghahandle kung sakasakali na magtutuloy-tuloy at aabot sa full trial ito hong impeachment case ng pangalawang Pangulo ng ating bansa. And we have also yung mga proper key officials na siya hong nakatuon din ng atensyon dito. Even Malacanang na nakaantabay din, wala naman sila so far na inilabas pa na statement regarding dito sa impeachment case ni Vice President Sara Duterte at may mga proseso itong pagdadaanan dyan sa mababang kapulungan ng Kongreso. Initially, alas 10 ng umaga ho, yung inaasahan na magiging pagsisimula ng pagdinig dyan sa House Committee on Justice. At ilan ho sa mga personalidad na ina-expect natin na magpapakita yung mga ipinatawag ng Committee on Justice para naman mag-testify. But itong si former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV, nakausap po natin kanina, kung inyo pong natutukan sa atin ho mga taga-subaybay, mga taga-pakinig at taga-panood, no? Yung ating interview kay former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV na in-approach siya ng House Committee on Justice para maging bahagi ng pagbibigay ng testimonya ukol dito sa impeachment case ni Vice President Sara Duterte. But initially ay nakaschedule siya by April. And dun sa kanyang mga sinabi, ilan pong punto dito mga kabombo, mga ka-Star Nation, ay tatalakay dun sa kayamanan ng pangalawang Pangulo at ng kanyang pamilya, bagay na kini-question itong si former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV. So dun iikot yung kanyang aligasyon at yung kanyang testimonya sa naturang usapin. Bagamat ito ay ilang ulit na rin ho na pinabulaanan ng kampo ng pangalawang Pangulo, mainam na ito kung ay madadala bilang bahagi ng paksa dyan sa impeachment proceedings ay makapagpresenta rin kung meron man na mga ebidensya itong si former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV. And may chance rin na makapagtanong yun ho nga ilang mga miyembro ng mababang kapulungan ng Kongreso mula naman doon sa panig na kilalang malapit sa Vice Presidente. And last time ay meron din hong mga mambabatas na kini-question yung ilang proseso ng House Committee on Justice sa katauhan po ito ni na Representative Toby Chanco and of course si Representative Paulo Marcoleta. Doon sa punto mga kabombo na nagkaroon pa ng tila pag-lecture ito si Representative Beatrix Luistro ukol doon sa kanyang mga pahayag na sinasabi na nasunod yung mga proseso hinggil ho dyan sa paghimay ng impeachment case laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte. At this point, kumustahin natin ang sitwasyon dyan sa Kamara de Representantes kung ano na ang mga kaganapan at kung may mga personalidad na ho na dumating para dito sa pagdinig ng House Committee on Justice sa impeachment case ng pangalawang Pangulo ng Pilipinas. Nasa linya ng ating komunikasyon si Bombo Anali Soberano.
Bombo Dennis, unti-unti nang nagsisidatingan ang mga mambabatas na miyembro ng House Justice Panel at ilang mga resource speakers dito nga sa People's Center sa may Kamara. Alas 10 nga nakatakda itong pagdinig ng impeachment laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte. So sa ngayon, nakita natin sa pag-akyat natin kanina, Bombo Dennis, sa mismong hall kung saan gagawin ang itong pag-iimbestiga, nakita natin na nakalatag pa rin. Bagamat sinabi ng kampo ni VP Sara na hindi sila dadalo sa pagdinig na yon ng Justice Panel, pero nailagay pa rin yung pangalan ni VP Sara, katabi niya si itong Manila Representative Bienvenido Abante sa pag-upo. Ito yung sequence ng pag-upo, Bombo Dennis, ng mga resource speaker. So, katabi ni VP Sara, itong si Manila Representative Manila Bienvenido Abante. So, iyan din sa mga inaabangan natin. Although, may mga usap-usapan din na dahil hindi naman natin alam yung magiging decision pa ni VP Sara, baka posibleng pumunta siya dito sa House of Representatives para nga ang magpakita dito sa Justice Panel. So sa ngayon, Bombo Dennis, ang inaasahan naman natin dito sa pagdinig ay ang pagtalakay, no? Yung bibigyan diin ng mga Justice Panel itong paglatag. Tatalakayin nila ang mga ebidensya at testimonya upang matukoy kung may probable cause. Isang mahalagang hakbang ito na maaring pagkatapos dito ay maiakyat na. No? Pagkatapos maaprubahan sa plenaryo, ay ibibigay na nila ito sa Senado. Itinanggi naman ni Luis Bombo Dennis kasi nga may mga ulat na lumalabas na may mga pressure daw dahil nga sa itong pagsagawa nila ng pagdinig ng impeachment. Pero sabi ni Luistro, walang pressure mula sa liderato ng Kamara na sila ay magsagawa ng pagdinig kahit recess ngayon ang Kamara. At wala din naman daw silang pressure mula sa kampo ng Vice President. So wala silang nararamdaman o nararanasang impluensya at nananatiling independent ang komite. So ang asahan talaga natin dito ay yung paglalatag ng mga ebidensya, paglalatag ng mga dokumento at pagpapakita ng iba pa, no? At iba pang mga testigo na posibleng humarap ngayong umaga. Pero inaabangan din natin na baka magkaroon din ng representante, no, mula sa kampo ni BP Sara, although sinabi na nila na hindi sila dadalo, Bombo Dennis. So tiniyak naman ni Justice Panel Chairman at Batangas Representative Jervy Luistro na magiging patas, malinaw at naaayon sa due process ang pagdinig ng House Panel dito nga sa impeachment ni Vice President Sara Duterte. At patuloy nilang sisikapin maunawaan ito ng publiko habang umuusad ang impeachment proceedings, Bombo Dennis. So sa ngayon,
Bomboan,
nakikita natin ngayon dito si Representative Tino ng Teachers Party List ay umaakyat na patungo sa hall, Bombo Dennis.
okay, Bomboan, nais ko lamang din na mabanggit sapagkat ngayon natukoy mo kanina na naka-break yung Kongreso and kung hindi mabubuo yung quorum sa bilang ng members ng House Committee on Justice, baka ma-question yung kanilang pagdinig. Pero kung overwhelming number of attendees, ay magpo-proceed ito. So sa kasalukuyan, marami-rami na rin ba ng mga miyembro ng Kongreso o ng House Committee on Justice yung namataan mo maliban dito sa mga natukoy mo kanina, Bomboan?
Marami-rami na rin, Bombo Dennis, no? Pero hindi natin nakita ang pagdating ni Chairman Jervy Luistro. Pero yun nga, no, aakitin natin mamaya at ito nga, aalamin. No? Pero sa ngayon, so for kanina, sa pagpunta natin, marami na ang mga miyembro ng House Panel, maging ang ilan pang mga resource persons. Pwera na lamang doon sa kampo ni Vice President Sara Duterte, Bombo Dennis.
Nakita na natin din dito sa live feed natin etong si Representative Zamora. Diyan na pala siya, no? And pati na yung iba pang mga members. Naalala ko lang kasi yung pagdalo nitong si Representative Zamora sapagkat siya yung pumuna last time dun sa mga pahayag ni Representative Bong Suntay. Ito'y parte ng pagdinig ukol sa impeachment case, Bomboan, ano? So nauungkat bigla yung iba pang mga usapin and mukhang marami-rami na rin, no? Yung presensya at yung mga upuan ay mukhang meron ng mga nakapwesto ng mga miyembro ng House Committee on Justice. So
paalala din, Bombo Dennis, no? Paalala din ni Representative Luistro na ang magtatanong lamang sa mga resource persons ay ang mga miyembro ng Justice Panel. Kung hindi ka miyembro ng Justice Panel, hindi ka bibigyan ng pagkakataon. So iyon yung naging isa sa mga direktiba, no, ni yung instruction ni Representative Luistro na walang mambabatas na pwedeng magtanong unless kung siya ay miyembro ng Justice Panel.
And of course, ano ito, Bomboan, hanggang hapon ba ito tuloy-tuloy o may specific time lang na i-consume itong Justice Panel o may masasagasaan na ibang mga activities dyan sa Kamara?
Sa ngayon, Bombo Dennis, wala pa namang ibinibigay na instruction or advice ang Justice Panel kung hanggang anong oras. But basically, ang tututukan nila ngayon ay yung paglalantad ng mga dokumento at yung mga testigo na pwedeng magsalita ngayong araw. So, preliminary investigation dito, Bombo Dennis, dahil magre-resume ang pangalawang impeachment hearing sa April 14 or 15 ito, Bombo Dennis. So, yan, no, sabi nga ni Representative Luistro, nakadepende ang hearing ngayong March 25 sa mga magiging susunod na pagdinig ng impeachment, Bombo Dennis. So, ito ngayon ang isa sa mga nakikita na natin ang pagdating ni Bacolod Representative Albi Benitez. Isa na siya ngayong Deputy Speaker Bombo Dennis, no. Papunta na siya dito at papaakyat, no, sa loob ng session. So nakita na natin yung ilang mambabatas, si Baguio Congressman nandito na rin, umakyat na rin para nga sa pagsisimula ng pagdinig, Bombo Dennis. So far yan muna ang mga latest mula dito sa House of Representatives para sa pagdinig ng impeachment laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Bombo Anali Montaño Soberano nag-uulat. And this is Bombo Radio Philippines, the #1 and most trusted source of news and information. Basta Radio, Bombo.
Ayan, pasado alas 10 na mga kabombo, mga ka-Star Nation ng umaga and 10:05 to be exact, ang atin nung Philippine Standard Time at hindi pa nagsisimula itong pagdinig at isa ho sa inantabayan na natin yung kung sino man yung haharap mula sa side itong si Vice President Sara Duterte, though ay hindi personal na haharap ang pangalawang Pangulo, but of course ay pwede siyang magpadala ng kanyang kinatawan o sino man na pinagkakatiwalaan niya para makapaglahad ng ilang saloobin hinggil dito sa kinakaharap na issue, mga kabombo at mga ka-Star Nation. So namamata natin mula dito sa ating newsfeed, mula dyan sa Kamara de Representantes, nariyan na, nakapwesto na ho si Representative 𝐂𝐿𝐶𝐄, Representative ito yung binabanggit ni Bomboan kanina mula sa Makabayan Block, na riyan na rin, mata na rin ho natin. And of course, ang iba pang mga kinatawan mula sa mga party list organizations na mga aktibo na nakikibahagi sa mga nakalipas na hearing, present din muli sila sa pagkakataong ito at nandyan sa naturang hearing, mga kabombo at mga ka-Star Nation. So ilan lamang ho yan sa ating tinutugay-gayan. Nakatayo pa nga yung ilan ho dito sa mga miyembro ng House Committee on Justice at inaantabayanan yung pagpalo ng gabel ng kanilang chairperson, si Representative Jervil Luistro, mula naman sa bahagi po ng Batangas bilang kinatawan ng Batangas, mga kabombo. And ilan ho sa mga inatabayanan din natin yung magiging sentro ng pagtatanong at kung gaano magiging takbo nitong proseso na ito kung hindi totally magpaparticipate ang kampo ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Initially, sabi sa atin ni Representative Terry Ridon ay mas mapapabilis, no? Kumbaga kakaroon ng parang expressway dahil walang pagtutol. So lalarga ho ito according sa magiging findings ng komite nang wala hong pagkontra mula sa kampo ng Vice Presidente o walang pag-question o walang pagpresenta ng kanilang sariling ebidensya para ho sa impeachment case na inaakusa laban sa pangalawang Pangulo. So after nito, mga kabombo, kung totally hindi magpa-participate ay lumalaki raw yung tsansa na makalusot dyan sa komite ng Kamara yung naturang reklamo. Pero ang magiging battlefield pagdating ho ng oras ay dun sa Senado na siyang tatayo bilang impeachment court para ho dito sa kaso po na ito. Ito yung kauna-unahan sa kasaysayan ng Pilipinas na mayroong vice presidente ng bansa na ipinapa-impeach, although may mga dati ng opisyal ng Pilipinas na subject ng ganyang proseso. Yun nga lang ay sa pagkapangalawang Pangulo, ito ho yung unang pagkakataon. And of course ay second impeachment case na ho ito ng Vice Presidente dyan sa Kamara dahil last year ay meron akong nag-file ng kaso against her. And yun nga lang, hindi ho ito umusad pagdating dyan sa mataas na kapulungan ng Kongreso. Natatayo sana bilang impeachment court dahil magko-closing na yung session that time and na-question pa yung proseso ho doon sa mataas na o kataas-taasang hukuman. Kaya ho nagkaroon ng ruling hinggil ho dito ang Supreme Court of the Philippines. At bagay ho na naging hudyat para tuldukan yung unang impeachment case laban sa pangalawang Pangulo, mga kabombo at mga ka-Star Nation. So, unti-unti na ho napupuno yung venue ng pagdinig dyan sa impeachment case ni Vice President Sara Duterte para naman sa House Committee on Justice. And present na kanina, nakita na natin ang chairperson ng naturang lupon, si Representative 𝐕 Luistro, na nakasuot ho ng, I think, kung di ako nagkakamali, ay parang shade of purple yung kanyang suot kanina. And maliban ho kung may iba pang mga darating ho dito na antabayanan ay saka magsisimula ito hong pagdinig ng komite dyan sa mababang kapulungan ng Kongreso. And of course, yung mga miyembro ho ng lupon, sila yung may exclusive na kapangyarihan na magsalita at magtanong o magpatawag ng mga personalidad na tutukuyin dyan ho sa kabuuan ng naturang pagdinig, mga kabombo at mga ka-Star Nation. And bagamat may chance rin ho na mag-participate yung mga non-members ng House Committee on Justice, meron ho silang particular lamang na maaaring gampanan. Hindi ho sila makikibahagi doon sa kakaroon ho. Kumbaga may mga input, mga kabombo, mga ka-Star Nation. Kumbaga nandun lang sila para sumubaybay, makinig at manood nitong proceedings, mga kabombo. So meron din last time nung initial hearings na non-members pero pinagsalita naman. So titignan ho natin paano magiging handling dito ng chairperson ng naturang komite dahil ito'y napakasensitibong paksa, mga kabombo, mga ka-Star Nation. At yan ay tungkol sa posible na pagpapatalsik sa isang nakaupong impeachable officer ng ating bansa. At ngayon ay sa katauhan po ito ng pangalawang Pangulo, Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte, na siya ngayong inaakusahan ng ilang mga kaso at reklamo. Kabilang ho dyan yung culpable violation at yung betrayal of public trust, culpable violation of the Constitution at marami pang iba na ipinupukol laban ho sa pangalawang Pangulo. Although sa ibang event ay pinabulaanan, kinontra at sinalungat na ho ito ni Vice President Sara Duterte. But of course, ay yung dyan mismo sa venue ng House Committee on Justice ay wala pa ho siya na personal na pagharap itong mga nakalipas na araw, mga kabombo. So, papakita na natin, mga kabombo, yung mga kaganapan dyan na nag-check na lang ng kanyang mga documents. Ito si House Committee on Justice Chairperson 𝐕 Luistro para sa pagpurmal na pagsisimula nitong pagdinig dyan sa Kamara de Representantes. Ayan, nakapwesto na rin naman yung karamihan po sa mga kabahagi nitong aktibidad po na ito dyan sa lower house. Imagine, ngayon ho ay nakabakasyon yung Kamara de Representantes. So malaki yung pagpapahalaga po nila dito sa proceedings po na ito. And yan ay makikita natin sa dami ng mga dumadalo dyan sa naturang hearing, sapagkat ito ay bahagi ng kanilang trabaho, ngunit hindi obligado ang lahat na mag-participate, kundi yung mga nagnanais nga na makibahagi dito. So nakita na natin nasa kanang bahagi nitong si Representative Luistro, itong si Representative Terry Ridon mula naman sa House Committee on Public Accounts, and nasa kaliwa si Representative Maria Isabel Zamora, na siya naman ho na Vice Chairperson ng naturang lupon na ukol pa rin dito sa impeachment case na kanilang hihimayin maya-maya lamang mga kabombo at mga ka-Star Nation. And babalikan din ho natin ang ating coverage team mula dyan sa lower house. Magre-report naman mula sa side ng iba pang mga dumadalo. Itong si Bombo Isa Cotoner maya-maya lamang ho yan mga kabombo at mga ka-Star Nation sapagkat may mga nagpaplano ho na magsagawa din ng mga protesta. May mga nagpaplano rin na maglabas ng kanilang sentimiento. Bakit daw uunahin pa itong impeachment case knowing na nahaharap ho ang ating bansa sa isang matinding pagsubok lalo na itong usapin ng enerhiya at yung krisis na kumbaga domino effect na umabot sa atin dito yung sigalot dun ho sa gitnang silangan mga kabombo. Knowing na tayo ay napakaraming kababayan na mga overseas Philippine workers hindi talaga malayo na maapektuhan din ho tayo the moment na magkaroon ng tensyon dyan sa Middle East at bagay na nangyayari na ho ngayon at maging sa mga produktong petrolyo sabi nila ay unahin daw na pagpukusan ng atensyon o bigyan ng higit na atensyon kaysa doon sa mga political issues. Bagay na tinugunan naman ho ng mga opisyal ng Kamara na bahagi pa rin ito ng kanilang trabaho ang pag-handle doon sa mga inilalapit sa kanilang reklamo galing sa mga nag-file ng naturang complaint against the Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte. And take note mga kabombo, mamayang hapon ay yung kampo naman ni Vice President Sara Duterte ang maglalahad ho ng kanilang sentimiento o saloobin hinggil ho sa mga bagay na ito mamaya ho yung hapon mga kabombo at tayo ay magdadala pa rin mga update hinggil ho dyan sa bahagi naman ng pagdarausa ng aktibidad ng mga abogadong sumusuporta dito kay Vice President Sara Duterte. And at this point mga kabombo ay malapit na hong magsimula yung pagdinig dyan sa Kamara. Nakikita na ho natin yung kanilang mga preparasyon at pati na yung kanilang yung in charge sa records at yung in charge doon sa pagkuha po ng attendance, yung secretariat ika nga nitong House Committee on Justice na mataan na rin ho natin sa mga oras na ito at yan yung ating inaantabayanan na makumpleto yung kanilang mga paghahanda dahil although alas 10 yung schedule ng naturang pagsisimula ng pagdinig ay may ilang mga hinihintay at may ilang konsiderasyon na kinakailangan hong matamang bigyang pansin. So i-check na natin mga kabombo, mga ka-Star Nation, yung event dyan sapagkat magsasalita na itong chairperson ng House Committee on Justice, si Representative Jervil Luistro, mga kabombo at mga ka-Star Nation. At nagbibigay ng mga, kumbaga ito yung mga tinatawag na last minute instructions mula sa panig ho ng chairperson bago pa man yung pagsisimula talaga ng naturang pagdinig sapagkat importante nasa ayos, nakabalangkaso yung proseso at kung sino yung arrangement ng mga magtatanong, magsasalita at sino pang mga individual ho yung bibigyan ng tsansa na makapagsalita dyan sa naturang pagdinig mga kabombo at mga ka-Star Nation. So yan yung ilan husay na antabayanan natin. May mga initially may mga nagsabi na hindi raw sila dadalo sapagkat yun nga nakabreak yung mga miyembro ng kapulungan and well, sabi naman ni Representative Ridon, bahagi ng kanilang trabaho ang pagdalo dito dahil sila ang tanging tanggapan sa gobyerno na may obligasyon na tumanggap, mag-handle, magdinig ng usapin may kinalaman sa impeachment. Hindi po pwedeng i-file ito sa korte. Okay, mga kabombo, mga ka-Star Nation, mag-uumpisa na ho yung hearing at atin hong tutugay-gayan ang mga kaganapan dyan at yan ay sa pamamagitan ng ating tuloy-tuloy na pagtutok mga kabombo at mga ka-Star Nation. Tumayo na ho itong mga miyembro ng komite at pangkalahatang panalangin ang isinasagawa ho sa mga oras na ito. And the moment na mag-start na ho ito ay atin hong ipaparinig sa inyo mga kabombo at mga ka-Star Nation upang subaybayan po natin ang iba pang mga kaganapan ho dyan sa lower house. At titignan din ho natin mga kabombo kung yung resource person na ilalabas ho nila ay may ilalahad na ebidensya upang makilatis din ho ng publiko. And ito ay magiging sentro sigurado ng mga talakayan at mga pag-uusap muli, mga diskusyon mula sa iba't ibang grupo, mga antas dito sa ating lipunan mga kabombo at mga Kastar Nation. Ayan. So tapos na ho ang panalangin at yung himno ang susunod ho dyan mga kabombo at yung pambansang awit ay yan ho yung mga nakahanay na bahagi ng programa. Okay, pakinggan ho natin mga kabombo, mga Kastar Nation, yun hong ongoing na proceedings dyan sa Kamara de Representantes mga kabombo.
Sa dagat ang putok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bukaw, may dilag ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal.
Ang islap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning.
Ang bituin at araw na kailan pa may di magdidilim.
Mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Ayan mga kabombo, nagtapos na ang pambansang awit at ngayon ay
The hearing
ayan,
of the Committee on
nag-uumpisa na ang hearing.
Justice is hereby called to order.
Madam Chair,
The Honorable Zamora.
as this is a continuation of the hearing held on March 18, 2026, I move to dispense with the calling of the roll.
There is a motion to dispense with the calling of the roll. Do I hear a second?
Second, Madam Chair.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion to dispense with the calling of the roll is hereby granted. Can I hear a motion on the reading of the minutes and its approval?
Madam Chair, I move to dispense with the reading of the minutes held last meeting, and I move for its approval.
There's a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the last meeting and for its approval. Do I hear a second? Second. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. The reading of the minutes is dispensed with and the same is approved. The Chair will address the Justice Committee. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Sa aking mga kapwa miyembro ng kapulungan, sa ating mga panauhin na naririto ngayon at sa sambayanang Pilipino. Before we begin, at bago natin ipagpatuloy itong proseso ng impeachment, tandaan natin na hindi lingid sa ating kaalaman na marami pa tayong ibang kinakaharap na problema. Let us accordingly acknowledge the pressing challenges our country faces. Oil prices are rising. The cost of basic goods is increasing. Ordinary Filipinos feel the weight of daily life more than ever. And yet, even as we undertake this solemn constitutional duty, the House of Representatives does not forget its other responsibilities. Kahit may impeachment, tuloy pa rin tayo sa iba nating obligasyon. We have, for example, acted to ease the burden of rising fuel costs, passing a bill authorizing the suspension or reduction of excise taxes. Nariyan na po ang panukalang batas, pinag-aralan, pinag-isipan, at inaasahang makatutulong sa ating mga kababayan. We also continue to work on measures that address inflation, food security, and Social Services. Also, just this March 2026, the House has acted on measures that directly affect the daily lives of Filipinos, passing a bill abolishing the travel tax, advancing legislation to institutionalize digital payments in government transactions, and pushing reforms to make public services more accessible and efficient. The House has also advanced key education reforms, including amendments to the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act and the Presidential Merit Scholarship Program. This strengthens support for students and investing as well in the country's future workforce. And after nationwide consultations across Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, the House has pushed forward the long-awaited anti-political dynasty bill with plenary deliberations recently completed. These actions remind us that governance is a constant balancing act, attending to urgent needs while fulfilling constitutional obligations. Kahit may impeachment, tuloy tayo sa iba nating tungkulin. Ang ating serbisyo publiko ay hindi napuputol, hindi tumitigil kahit sa gitna ng pinakamabigat na tungkulin. While we scrutinize those in power, we do not lose sight of the hardships faced by the powerless. Having said that, we proceed today fully aware of our dual duty to hold public officials accountable and to serve the people who entrusted us with this mandate. And so now, we begin. Dito nagsisimula ang opisyal na pagdinig ng kasong ito. Sa ating pagsisimula, tandaan natin na ang impeachment ay patungkol sa pananagutan sa bayan. Kaya't marapat lamang na balikan natin ang ating panunumpa. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and conscientiously fulfill my duties, preserve and defend the Constitution, execute its laws, do justice to every man, and consecrate myself to the service of the nation. Madaling bigkasin, pero mahirap panindigan. Hindi ito simpleng ritual. Ito ay isang pangako, isang panata ng pananagutan, hindi lamang sa batas, kung hindi sa bayan. Let me lay out the agenda for today. First, we establish the ground rules or the guidelines, not as obstacles, but as safeguards. Their purpose is simple: to maintain order, to allow clarity, so that truth may emerge unimpeded. Ang patakaran ay hindi hadlang sa katotohanan. Ito ang daan upang ito'y malinaw na lumitaw. Second, we move to the initial hearing. Opisyal po nating buksan ang pagdinig sa impeachment na ito. Third, and as part of this initial hearing, we act on pending motions, request for subpoenas, and set the schedule for the next hearings. At the core of these proceedings is probable cause. That is the objective of these hearings. We shall determine whether there is probable cause for impeachment. Ngunit, paano ba natin masasabi na merong probable cause? Let us be clear. This is not the probable cause of criminal procedure. Impeachment is not a criminal trial. It is a constitutional and policy exercise entrusted not to the courts, but to the House of Representatives. As we have seen in previous proceedings against Ombudsman Mercedes Gutierrez, the classical legal definition of probable cause was not applied. And for good reason. Impeachment calls for judgment, not mere calculation. It asks not only what can be proven, but what can be justified before the people. As the late Father Joaquin Bernas said, impeachment is about what is best for the country. Hindi lang ito tanong ng kung ano ang nasa batas. Ito rin ay tanong ng kapakanan ng bayan. Consider the ground of betrayal of public trust. What does it mean? Can it be reduced to a single act? A measurable threshold? Or is it something more? Something felt as much as it is proven? Paano mo susukatin ang pagtataksil sa tiwala? Sa bilang ba ng ebidensya o sa bigat ng paglabag? We are confronted with serious allegations, threats against the President, accumulation of ill-gotten wealth, SAL-N violations, misuse of confidential funds, disregard of safeguards for transparency, and defiance of constitutional process. These are not trivial matters. They go to the very heart of public trust. May mga kasalanang hindi kailangang ipaliwanag, ramdam agad ng taong bayan. The truth is, betrayal of public trust resist rigid definition. And if the standard is not mechanical, neither can the threshold to examine it be mechanical. Kung ang batayan ay may bahid ng moralidad, ang paghusga ay hindi maiiwasan dumaan sa konsensya. Conscience becomes our guide, not as a substitute for evidence, but as its interpreter. Evidence tells us what happened. Conscience tells us what it means. Ang batas ang nagbibigay ng balangkas. Ang konsensya ang magbibigay ng kahulugan. Therefore, to determine probable cause is to listen, to weigh, and to decide, not by rigid formulas alone, but by what is just and right for the Filipino people. Ngunit malinaw sa atin, ang araw na ito ay simula pa lamang. Sa mga darating na linggo, sa mga susunod na pagdinig, hihimayin natin ang mga aligasyon isa-isa. Susuriin ang bawat ebidensya. Magtatawag tayo ng mga testigo. Pakikinggan ang bawat argumento at titimbangin ang depensa. Today is just the beginning of a process that demands patience, discipline, and vigilance. At sa prosesong ito, sisikapin nating maging tapat, hindi lamang sa batas, kundi sa sambayanang Pilipino. And in the search for probable cause, let us remember that what we are conducting here is merely investigative in nature, where the question is not guilt, but whether there is sufficient basis to proceed to trial in the Senate. At this stage, in this committee, there is no deprivation. No one is being removed from office here. No one is being disqualified. No final judgment is being rendered. Those consequences, if they are to come at all, arise only in the Senate, where the trial is held, where the evidence is fully ventilated, and where the full measure of due process applies. But this is not to say that due process is absent here. Far from it. We have to remember that whatever we do here in the committee must always be in accordance with the Constitution, particularly the demands of due process. The Vice President has been invited to participate. She is reportedly prepared for a full-scale legal battle, a bloodbath, as it has been described, assembling a very large team of lawyers. She is apparently ready to face the accusations and defend herself at length. And yet it appears she will not even participate. We recall the words of Justice Antonio Tiham in the previous impeachment against Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sireno. Failure to participate in the hearings before the Committee on Justice is tantamount to a culpable violation of the Constitution. Ayon sa pananaw na iyon, ang hindi pagharap sa proseso ay maaring ituring na patuloy na paglabag sa saligang batas. Ang tanong ngayon, maaari rin ba nating sabihin ito sa Vice Presidente? Let us remember, the Vice President took the same oath. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and conscientiously fulfill my duties, preserve and defend the Constitution, execute its laws, do justice to every man, and consecrate myself to the service of the nation. Lahat ho ng kawani ng gobyerno, lahat ng opisyal ng pamahalaan, iisa ang panunumpa, iisa ang pamantayan, iisa ang pananagutan. Ang panunumpang ito ay hindi lamang pangako ng panunungkulan. Ito ay panata ng pagharap sa pananagutan at paggalang sa saligang batas. Dito sa komite, susundan natin ang saligang batas. Hindi natin tatalikuran ang ating tungkulin. Iyan ang inaasahan ng taong bayan. Hindi pag-iwas, kundi pagharap. Hindi katahimikan, kundi pananagutan. Sapagkat ang panunumpa ay hindi lamang binibigkas sa simula. Ito ay pinatutunayan sa bawat pagkakataon na tayo ay sinusubok. So regardless of the participation of the Vice President, and even in her absence, this committee will proceed. We will do our duty with resolve, without hesitation, and without delay. The Constitution entrusts the House with the exclusive power to initiate impeachment cases, and this committee stands at the forefront of that responsibility. Tayo lamang, ang Committee on Justice lamang, ang tahasang binigyan ng ganitong tungkulin sa saligang batas. In the end, this is not merely a procedural exercise. This is a test of judgment, of conscience, and of courage. Let us proceed with diligence, with fairness, with honesty, knowing that our actions today will echo far beyond this chamber. And so we return to where we begin. Sa huli, babalik tayo sa ating panunumpa. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and conscientiously fulfill my duties, preserve and defend the Constitution, execute its laws, do justice to every man, and consecrate myself to the service of the nation. Madaling bigkasin, pero mahirap panindigan. Ang tanong, para sa lahat ng kawani ng gobyerno, para sa lahat ng opisyal ng pamahalaan, para sa vice-presidente, tinutupad ba natin ito? Pinaninindigan ba natin ito? Iyan ang tanong na sisimulan nating sagutin dito sa impeachment na ito. Maraming salamat po. We now call the case. Committee Secretary.
Thank you, Your Honor. Initial hearing on the impeachment complaints against Vice President Sara Z. Duterte filed by Reverend Father Joel Saballa et al. And endorsed by Representative Laila M. De Lima, and filed by Attorney Nathaniel G. Cabrera and endorsed by Representatives Bienvenido M. Abante Jr. and Francisco Paulo P. Ortega V.
Madam Chair,
The Honorable Jokno.
may I be allowed to make a brief manifestation
Which manifestation?
in relation to the opening statement?
The opening statement.
made by
You may
the
proceed,
Chair.
the Honorable Jokno.
Thank you, Madam Chair, distinguished colleagues, mga kababayan natin na nanonood, at magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Marami po nagtatanong, ano ba talaga itong impeachment at ano ba ang proseso sa impeachment? Klarong-klaro po sa ating konstitusyon, Article 11, Section 3, the House of Representatives has the exclusive power to initiate all cases of impeachment, while the Senate has the sole power to try and decide all cases of impeachment. Sa madaling salita, ang Kongreso ang nagsasampa o naghahain ng impeachment case, habang ang Senado naman ang nagsisilbing hukom o tagahatol. Kaya tayo nandito sa hearing na ito ay para malaman, dapat nga bang isampa ang impeachment case laban sa Vice Presidente? Nung nakaraan, nakita po natin na sufficient in form and substance ang dalawang impeachment complaint. Ibig sabihin nito, sapat o tama ang forma ng mga reklamo at may sapat na nilalaman para umusad tayo sa pagdinig na ito. Nakita din ng committee na ang impeachment complaint ay sufficient in grounds o may sapat na batayan. Sa puntong ito, mismo ang konstitusyon ang nag-uutos sa Committee on Justice na magsagawa ng hearing. Ano naman ang ihihiring natin? Siyempre, walang iba kundi ang ebidensya at testigo. Our duty is clear, Madam Chair. This committee must secure and verify every piece of evidence, and we must protect every witness so they may give their testimony under oath. Ito ay naaayon mismo sa Section 7 at 8 ng Rules of Impeachment. Ito ang dahilan kung bakit po tayo naghain ng motion para makuha ang kopya ng SALN ng Vice Presidente at para bigyan ng proteksyon ang testigo na si Mr. Ramil Madriaga. Ang impeachment case na ito ay dadaan sa butas ng karayom. This is the only way for the truth to come out. Pagkatapos ng committee, boboto po ang buong Kamara at magpapasya kung dapat ilitis ang kaso sa Senado. At sa bawat hakbang, nakatutok ang buong bansa para bantayan ang proseso. Maraming salamat po. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The manifestation of the Honorable Jokno is noted by the committee.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable De Lima.
Also a brief manifestation and a question to the Honorable Chair and the Committee
With the indulgence
Secretariat.
of the Honorable De Lima, we would like to tackle first our ground rules before we proceed to your subsequent manifestations and questions to the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
regarding the ground rules, we would like to acknowledge Vice Chair Zamora.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bago po tayo magsimula sa deliberasyon ukol sa pagtukoy ng probable cause sa impeachment proceedings na ito, kinakailangan magtakda ng ating chairperson ng ilang panuntunan upang matiyak ang maayos, patas at episyenteng pagtatalakay. Ang komite ay may 38 na regular members. Ang quorum ay 1/5 ng kabuuan. Ang ex-officio members ay may boses at may boto. Ang mga nais magsalita ay kailangan makipag-ugnayan sa committee secretary upang maitala ang kanilang pangalan. Magkakaroon tayo ng alternating recognition ng minority at majority na may 5 minuto bawat isa. Maaari tayong magbigay ng second round kung may oras pa po. Hinihiling ng chairperson na hintayin muna ang kanyang pagkilala bago magsalita upang mapanatili ang kaayusan. Sa mismong pagdinig, ang mga resource persons ay susuriin ng mga miyembro ng komite alinsunod sa Section 7 of the Rules of Procedure in Impeachment Proceedings. Ang mga resource persons ay hindi papayagang magsalita o gumawa ng mga interjection malibang kung at hanggang sa sila ay kilalanin ng ating chairperson. Tanging ang mga miyembro ng komite lamang ang may karapatang suriin o i-cross-examine ang mga resource persons. Ang mga partido ay maaaring humingi ng pahintulot mula sa chairperson na magsumite ng mga tanong na itatanong ng ating chairperson kung sa kanyang opinyon ay kinakailangan ang mga ito para maging malinaw ang talakayan. Ang pakikilahok ng mga abogado ng mga partido o resource persons ay limitado sa pagpapayo sa kanilang mga kliyente tungkol sa kanilang mga karapatan sa ilalim ng konstitusyon. Dapat silang sumunod sa wastong kagandahang asal at hindi sila papayagang magsalita o gumawa ng mga interjection malibang kung at hanggang sa sila ay kausapin o kilalanin ng chairperson. Mga kasama, impeachment is an extraordinary constitutional process. It demands sobriety, discipline, and unwavering respect for the rule of law. Hindi personalidad ang ating hinaharap ngayon, kundi ang ating constitutional duties. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Can we hear the necessary motion for the adoption of ground rules?
Madam Chair, I move to adopt the ground rules as stated earlier.
There is a motion to adopt the ground rules read by the Honorable Zamora. Do I hear a second?
Madam Chair,
Is there any objection?
discussion. Madam
The Honorable Rodriguez.
Madam Chair, the right to counsel is assured by the Constitution. So therefore, the respondent here has always have the right to counsel. In fact, in many cases, our rules of court is supplementary to the rules of impeachment in the House. And so therefore, this representation believes that first, they are entitled, counsels for both sides are entitled to send questions, and I agree with that, Madam Chair. But what I would like to emphasize is that the Vice President can always designate their counsel to appear in all the proceedings, so that we should be able to state there that the right to counsel, the right to be heard by herself or counsel is assured by the Constitution. But we know the response of the proponent of the motion as to that particular observation.
If I may confirm, the Honorable Rodriguez, you would like the committee to acknowledge the right of the counsel even in the absence of the respondent.
That's correct. Based on jurisprudence, Madam Chair, that although this is not a criminal proceeding, it is akin to a criminal case because we are trying to remove and there is also perpetual disqualification. And so, in other words, the Vice President can send her counsels here to appear for her. In fact, the right to self-incrimination is there. And a person who is now being investigated has the right to already not take the stand, or at the time she wants to appear, to be able to invoke it when she is asked an incriminatory question. So that is the position of this council. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Of course, based on the ground rules that was read by the Honorable Zamora, the right to counsel is described as assistance to clients or to the parties. Now it is being proposed by the Honorable Rodriguez that the same be acknowledged even in the absence of the respondent or the parties. May I hear the comment of the members of the Justice Committee?
Madam Chair.
The Honorable Vice Chair Dumogan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree if that is on the presentation of the complaint's evidence. But at the time the respondent will be presenting her evidence, she must be present, because who will answer clarificatory questions in cross-examinations of what will be presented? She is the only one. The counsel are not witnesses in this particular case. So I hope my colleague will agree that at the time the respondent is given the opportunity to present her evidence, she must be present. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Would you like to clarify the extent of the participation that you are proposing?
Yes, Madam Chair. What I am proposing is, at the time that we have concluded the presentation of the evidence of the complainants, and it will be the turn of the respondents, then the respondents or her witnesses must be present, because they are the only ones who can answer clarificatory questions or cross-examination questions of any of the members of this committee. The lawyers of the respondents are not witnesses to the said defense of the respondent. So it is a must, Madam Chair, that she must be present at the unless she will waive the presentation of her evidence when it is her time to present her evidence pursuant to our rules of impeachment, Madam Chair.
For purposes of accuracy, Honorable Vice Chair Dumogan, you are proposing that the respondent's counsel, even in her absence, be allowed to present the evidence. But for purposes of clarificatory hearing, it should be the Vice President herself who should be present and answer the questions before the Justice Committee.
That's exactly correct, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other member who
Madam
wish to
Chair?
manifest? The Honorable Rodriguez.
Madam Chair, the right against self-incrimination is very clear. Under our rules, the criminal procedure rules, which are suppletory, because our rules are very, very, very pithy in terms of the procedure. 2 points, Madam Chair. The respondent has the right not to appear, and therefore she does not need to be present, because that is the right of a respondent, akin to a accused in a criminal case, as decided in the cases, Madam Chair. That's number one. Number two, the counsels here are not only to advise on the legal rights, they have the right to cross-examine, because the Vice President will not be present. If she's present, she cannot cross-examine witnesses, because she has lawyers. So therefore, 2 points. The rule that requires that lawyers can only, the participation is only to advise the legal rights of the witness is on the rules on the investigation in aid of legislation. That is expressly found in the rules in aid of legislation, the hearings. But it is not found in our rules. I've been reading our rules of procedure. There's nothing here that limits it to only advising. Therefore, in an adversary proceeding like this, we have to therefore hear the counsels if they wish to be present, but if not, then that is also the lookout of the respondent. But I believe that we should be clear in our rules that the presence of counsel of the respondent has the right to cross-examine directly the witnesses for the complainants. And secondly, there is no need for the Vice President to appear in hearing because that is her right not to be able to appear, and we can make conclusions out of her non-appearance. No need for her to appear. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable Chua, are you raising your hand?
No. Madam Chair.
The Honorable Vice Chair Dumogan.
The first part of the point had already been settled. Under our own rules, which is the subject of the motion, the counsel of the respondents are allowed to cross-examine by writing their questions, submitting it to the chair. What I am pointing out, Madam Chair, is at the time the respondent is given the opportunity to present her evidence. Well, counsel may present her evidence, but she must be present, or the witnesses that she is presenting must be present so that the members of the committee will have the chance to examine or ask clarificatory questions from them. The counsels are not witnesses to the defense of the respondents, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair.
For the guidance of the justice members, part of the proposed rule is giving opportunity to the complainant and the respondent and their counsels to submit questions to the chairperson so that they may be raised in the deliberation if no justice members are raising similar questions. Let us all be guided as well that the hearing proper in the Justice Committee is akin to a preliminary investigation. So, let us be guided by the fact that as well, that we're trying to establish here is merely probable cause, which means a justification to be able to proceed to trial, which will definitely happen not here, but in the Senate. The Honorable Chua.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, let me read what is provided under our rules, the rules of procedure in impeachment proceeding. Under Section 7, it provides that if the committee finds that there is sufficient ground for impeachment exists, the committee shall conduct a hearing, which we are now doing. The committee, through the chairperson, may limit the period of examination and cross-examination by members of the committee. Therefore, Madam Chair, it is very clear under our rules that it is only the members of the committee who can participate with respect to the examination and cross-examination of the members. Why? Because, like what you said a while ago, this is akin to the preliminary investigation wherein it is the investigating officer or the investigating city prosecutor who is asking clarificatory questions. We are not yet in the trial where the lawyers or counsel of the defendant can cross-examine the witnesses. Now, this can also be, we can also be guided by our rules of procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation, which the Honorable Rufus Rodriguez mentioned a while ago, that under Section 13, appearance of counsel, here, the participation of counsel for witness during the hearing and while the witness is testifying shall be limited to advising on the legal rights of said witness. Why? Because this is committee function. So ganun din po dito. Ito pong ginagawa natin is also a committee function. The cross-examination, ang purpose po ng cross-examination dito is just to ask or just to clarify questions. Hindi pa po ito yung talagang trial proper wherein we can cross-examine thoroughly the witnesses. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. The Honorable De Lima.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I concur with the views expressed by the Honorable Joel Chua. As expressed very clearly by the Honorable Chair earlier, the proceedings today, or the proceedings from now on, henceforth, would be the determination of probable cause. And therefore, this proceedings is indeed akin to a preliminary investigation. There are no formal direct examination or cross-examination in the proceedings before the prosecutor's office. Yes, we can recognize the respondents and the complainants' right to counsel, but their role ought to be limited because this is only preliminary investigation. Role like identifying affidavits can assist their clients, can assist the complainants, or can assist the respondent. But if they have questions, as expressed and as already laid down in the ground rules read by the Honorable Representative Zamora, they can course it through the chair. In that case, they are afforded the right to confront, the right to ask clarificatory questions. This is not a full-blown trial yet that happens in the Senate. Just to repeat, this is akin to preliminary investigation, determination of probable cause. The proceedings or the hearings before the prosecutor's office, and this is the prosecutors, the Committee on Justice, is actually also limited, and no full-blown examination, whether it's direct examination or cross-examination, being conducted or held at that point. So I think it's very clear, as expressed by the Honorable Chair and also indicated in the ground rules. We are not denying the parties their right to counsel. They have the right to counsel. They can assist for purposes especially also of asking clarificatory questions, but we have our own rules here, coursed through the Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable Ridon and then the Honorable Rodriguez.
Well, maganda po yung talakayan kanina patungkol doon sa konsepto ng karapatan sa pagkakaroon po ng abogado. But I think just for the record, meron pong sulat yung mga abogado ni Vice President Sara Duterte na wala naman po ata talaga din silang interest at this point na dumalo either ang pangalawang Pangulo o yung mga abogado po mismo. And I will read it for the record.
Madam Chair, we are still on our ground rules discussion. So that can probably wait and we will be able to discuss that.
No,
because we are now on approving the ground rules. We are not yet determining what the Council or the Vice President is proposing or manifesting to us.
For the guidance of the Justice members, there is a pending motion for the approval of the ground rules read by the Honorable Zamora. Perhaps we will be proceeding to the letter sent by the lawyers of the respondent after we address the motion for the approval of the ground rules.
Yes, Madam Chair, but just to make the point that even if we talk about a conceptual matter relating to the right to counsel, if the counsels themselves are actually questioning these proceedings and the Vice President herself is questioning this proceeding, I think that needs to be placed on record, Madam Chair. So I will read it. For two Narvasas and Salazar.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable Ridon is requested to defer the discussion on the letter of Fortuna Narvasa until we address the pending motion before the committee. So if we can go back to the motion, the
Madam
same
Chair.
has been seconded already.
Other discussion because there were interjections.
That is with regards to
To
the
rules.
ground rules.
Yes, Madam
The Honorable Rodriguez.
Madam Chair, there is here a statement that in our rules, only members can ask questions. And I would refer now to Section 7. Committee finds, and then the committee shall conduct a hearing and examination and cross-examination by members of the committee. Very clear. However, Section 7 shall obey the Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines. The Bill of Rights, Madam Chair, Article 3, provides that the right to be heard by himself or herself or to counsel is inviolable. It is in paragraph, in section, in the rules, in the Bill of Rights, is in the section on Section 2, and then also on custodial Section 2 and Section 4. So, Mr. Chairman, I am saying that we just have to give the right, otherwise there will be no due process. If only the members can ask, we should allow. Can I finish first,
They
Madam
have
Chair?
the right.
I have allowed my good chair to finish. So let me finish my manifestation. So therefore, Madam Chair, it is very clear that councils should be allowed to cross-examine. Now, the issue here is that the rules provide that they submit the questions to the chairman. Will the chairman have the discretion to read or not? Or everything that will be given to the chairman will be read?
To answer the question of the Honorable Rodriguez, so long as the question is germane to the discussion pending before the committee, the chair will read the questions which are being submitted or which will be submitted by the councils of the parties. That includes the council of the respondent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. But
Madam
just to
Chair.
be able to state that this representation believes to be able to afford really procedural due process as pronounced in the leading case of Angtibay versus CIR. The 7 cardinal rights of a person who is accused, in this case akin. We are really, this is even more than a criminal case because we are trying to remove the official who had the highest votes in the history of this country as Vice President. So what I'm saying, Madam Chair, we should allow the councils to appear if they so wish and be able to cross-examine the witnesses of the complainants. That is the way to be able to afford the opportunity of procedural due process as is enshrined in Article 1 of Article 3 of Section 1 of the Constitution.
Madam
Let
Chair.
us be guided by the fact that this is not yet the trial.
Madam Chair, may
So
I be
what
allowed?
will happen before the Justice Committee is indeed merely a clarificatory hearing. Trial is different because, as has been repeatedly stated, only the Senate can conduct the trial.
Madam
What
Chair.
will happen before us is merely clarificatory hearing, and those questions are to be raised by the justice members. Of course, the lawyers of the respondent are free to attend the hearings, but with respect to their participation, I think that has been addressed in the proposed ground rules, that their questions may be submitted to the justice chairperson who will be reading those questions to be answered by the resource persons.
Madam
Let
Chair.
us draw the line between the clarificatory hearing between the Justice Committee and the trial, which will happen in the event that there is probable cause in the Senate only.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable Chua.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To answer the manifestation of my professor, the Honorable Rufus Rodriguez, there is no violation of due process, Madam Chair. Why? Because the respondent was given the opportunity to answer. That was the time when she is allowed to give all her answers.
Narito ang nanalo ng special prize ng Bombo 60th Anniversary Exclusive Edition na AM/FM Transistor Radio plus 500 pesos cash.
Ako si Jean Banaban nga taga Barangay Zone 1, ang ikaduha nga daily winner sa week number 3 adlaw sang Lunes, Marso 23, 2026.
100, 200, 300, 400, 500.
Nagapasalamat ako kay ako nakadaog sang 500 cash kag isa ka special limited edition nga radyo sang mabunutan ang akon entry nga Pioneer Epoxy sa Buena Mano Salvo Part 20 promo. Araw-araw balde-baldeng pa premyo na may cash pasang Star FM kag Bombo Radyo. Dako na gid ini nga bulig sa akon kag sa amon pamilya. Gani ginahag kuman kamo nga magpasakop man sa sini nga promo. Basta radyo, Bombo ang number 1.
Kung magluto sang kanon, siguraduhon nga malimpyo ang idalom sang kaldero kag ang heating plate sang rice cooker. Ang higko nagaupang sa kainit, gani mas nagadugay ang pagluto kag mas dako ang kuryente nga makaon sini. Gani, ugalion nga limpyuhan ang appliances antes gamiton agod nga makasiguro nga madasig ang paggamit kag makakinot ang isa sa inyo nga pamilya.
Okay lang nga masubuan. Okay lang nga may palaligban. Mangin problema, normal lamang inaabyan. Istoryaha ang imo pamilya. Seek help kung stressed o kung anxious ka. Hindi pagsuluha, importante ang mental health. Protektahi ang imo huna-huna. Mangin.
Council, in her council are entitled to ask clarificatory question, but it must be coursed through the chair, who will read the questions. That is the same in a preliminary investigation in a criminal case. But on the other hand, after the complainants had presented their evidence, it will now be the turn of the respondent. When the turn of the respondent will come, counsel can possibly present also the evidence of the respondent. But as I said, the respondent must be present because who will now answer clarificatory questions from the investigators? The members of the committee are considered as the fiscal conducting an investigation. So, who will now answer the clarificatory questions of this committee if the respondent will not be here? So, anyway, it will be her right if she does not appear. But to me, it will be a waiver of her right also to answer clarificatory questions of any members of this committee. Respectfully submit.
Thank you. At this juncture, we shall now resolve the motion. I think we've heard already all your meaningful and significant manifestations on the right to be represented by counsel. So with the indulgence of the Honorable Zamora.
There is a next ground rule which I would like to again manifest. We're finished with the representation and presence.
You may proceed on the next ground rule.
I would like to ask our Vice Chair, after the issue of the questions to be sent, what is the next ground rule? Because I have also a manifestation on that.
The last one is ang pakikilahok ng mga abogado ng mga partido o resource person ay limitado sa pagpapayo sa kanilang mga kliyente tungkol sa kanilang mga karapatan batay sa konstitusyon.
Madam Chair, I would object to that because precisely the rules of investigations in aid of legislation, that is precisely included. But it is not included in the rules of impeachment. Plus, secondly, lawyers will be allowed, in fact, that will contradict the previous ground rule because the lawyers of respondents are allowed to send questions to the chairman. So if you are preventing them only to advise counsel on their legal rights, that is what is stated in the rules in aid of legislation, then that should fall because we have allowed already in the first ground rule that there will be questions on cross-examination to be submitted to the chair. So the counsel is not limited to giving advice on the legal rights, the right to counsel, the right to right against self-incrimination, but really to participate through the chair. So I therefore move that we remove
Madam
the last
Chair,
one.
if I may comment,
The Honorable
please.
Zamora.
Madam Chair, number 8 and number 9 of the ground rules are not inconsistent with each other. Number 8 refers to the right of the parties to submit questions to the chairperson in case, and the chairperson has the right or has the discretion to propound these questions to the parties. For number 9, Madam Chair, the statement that the parties and their counsels, the counsels are limited to advising their clients about their rights under the Constitution is actually a very general statement that, yes, we should follow what is stated in the Constitution. So, in fact, it says here, dapat silang sumunod sa wastong kagandahang asal at hindi sila papayagang magsalita o gumawa ng mga interjection maliban kung at hanggang sa sila ay kausapin o kilalanin ng chairperson. So this is in fact a very general statement, Madam Chair. And again, as we are in a preliminary investigation stage, we are not violating the right of the respondent to counsel. In fact, I would like to make it a point that the respondent and his counsel and her counsels are not present. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other manifestation? We are
Madam
on
Chair.
number 9
Madam Chair.
ground rules of impeachment, of the
Madam
hearing
Chair.
proper. The Honorable Tino.
Madam Chair, this is just a request for copies, even electronic
Yes.
copies of the ground
Yes,
rules.
may we
under
direct the committee
consideration.
secretary to provide the members with a copy of the ground rules?
Madam Chair, manifestation.
The Honorable D.S. Puno.
I refer back to the comment of the chairperson earlier that the questions being raised by the lawyers be coursed through her for determination on whether or not they are germane to the discussion. This leads us, Madam Chair, to the question of what is this committee tasked with deciding? Are we going to decide veracity or non-veracity of evidence? Or are we merely made to decide whether the evidence presented by the complainants are relevant to the complaint that they have submitted? When we forward whatever decision we make to the Senate, do we say that contrary to a preliminary investigation, that there is probable cause? I do not think that that is the obligation of this committee. I believe, Madam Chair, that the obligation of this committee is to verify that the witnesses presented will present testimony that are consistent with the complaints that we have already ruled as of substance and form. So maybe the right to counsel is not properly addressed here because we're not after truth or falsehood of the evidence that's coming in. Merely relevance to the complaint that have been submitted by the complainant. When we elevate it to the Senate, we are not saying that anything is true or not true. We're not saying that anybody is guilty or not guilty. We're merely saying that the complaints have been found to be in form and substance. The witnesses presented have been consistent with the complaints that have been submitted. And that is going to be the substance of the decision that this committee will make, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And in addition to that, let us be reminded that part of the ground rules is allowing the lawyers of the parties, that includes the lawyers of the Vice President, to submit their questions to the chairperson so that the chairperson can raise them to the resource persons or even to the parties in the case or the witnesses, so long as the same is germane to the impeachment proceedings. So with that, may we proceed to rule on the motion? The Honorable Ko and then the Honorable Jokno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I would concur with Representative Joel Chua and the current stipulation of the ground rules and find no contradictions, whether it be in the Constitution, in the House rules as we speak, and in the principles of due process that we are providing the respondent as of now. Also to clarify, the process that is on the floor right now is so that this committee, at the end of the succeeding hearings that we will be holding, makita natin kung may probable cause or hindi. Kung mag-proceed man na dapat mag-proceed to a full-blown trial o hindi sa Senado yung complaints at bar. No? And to that end, isang step beyond sufficiency of substance and yung relevance na laman ng mga complaints, yung dapat i-determine ng mga members of this committee and the committee at the end of the day. That's why, for me, kailangan din po yung hindi lang presence ng respondent, but rather yung meaningful advice that the lawyers can provide, which is sufficiently detailed naman na po doon sa ground rules na pinopropose. So, Madam Chair, if necessary, I would like to second the motion as on the approval of the ground rules.
After the manifestation of the Honorable Jokno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To ensure consistency and as well avoid the possibility of any litigation that may question the rules of the committee, perhaps the committee could entertain a possible amendment to the proposed House rules. The last provision, to make it clear, could state that the participation of counsel shall be limited, number 1, to assisting their client, number 2, to submitting questions to the chair, and number 3, to filing whatever appropriate manifestations they choose to, and if required by the committee, a memorandum as stated in the rules on impeachment. That way, there can be no issue as to, no one can argue that the right to counsel is being denied by the committee. I would make so move, Madam Chair.
Second.
That is a motion for, if I may be clarified, Honorable Jokno? Because there is a pending motion as well for the approval of this ground rules. So may we hear first, before the second motion, that is for the amendment, if the proponent of that ground rules is accepting your proposed amendment.
Madam Chair, can I just insert this manifestation?
Kindly wait to be recognized, Vice Chair Dumogan.
Madam Chair,
please.
I accept the restating of the ground rules as amended by the Honorable Jokno, and I would like to point out that these are just ground rules and not rules of the House of Representatives. These are just the ground rules of the Committee on Justice.
With the acceptance by the proponent of the amendment by the Honorable Jokno, may I hear the necessary motion to approve the amended ground rules?
So
Vice
moved,
Chair
Ms.
Zamora.
So move, Madam Chair.
Second, Madam Chair.
There is a motion to approve the amended ground rules by the Honorable Dumogan. It has been seconded. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the amended ground rules is hereby approved. Now we proceed to the next matter. Earlier, the Honorable Redon is manifesting a letter received from Fortune Narvasa Law Office. Now we recognize the Honorable Redon for that matter.
Madam Chair, the counsels of Vice President Sara Duterte, Fortune Narvasa Salazar, and Attorney Michael Wesley Poa submitted a letter explaining the Vice President's absence today and their absence as well as counsels for the Vice President. And I will read the main basis for their objection to attending today. Under these circumstances and considering the public statements made by the chairperson, it appears that the committee intends to conduct a trial. I think, Madam Chair, the House Committee on Justice should confront this accusation squarely today. This particular position of the counsels and of the Vice President herself is basically a legal word salad. Ibig sabihin po, wala po itong batayan sa katotohanan. Ito po ay legal na pagpapalusot para lusutan na naman pong muli ang pagpapanagot sa mga impeachable offenses laban sa atin pong pangalawang Pangulo. Yung pong paggamit ng mini-trial ng ilan po sa mga kinatawan ng komite pong ito ay para lamang po sa pagpapaliwanag sa atin pong mga kababayan nung pong pagtakbo ng proseso po na impeachment. Particular, ito pong hearing proper, at more particularly, to make a distinction from the actual trial which will happen at the Senate. No? So, tingin ko yun lang po yung malinaw po na distinction dito po sa bagay po na ito. And Madam Chair, there is nothing in the rules and the proceedings that we have today which can in fact be considered as unconstitutional. I will read for the record the rules yet again and the constitutional provision. The constitutional provision in Article 9, Accountability of Public Officers, Section 3, 2. A verified complaint for impeachment may be filed by any member of the House of Representatives or by a citizen upon a resolution of endorsement by any member thereof, which shall be included in the order of business within 10 session days and referred to the proper committee within 3 session days thereafter. The committee, after hearing, this hearing, Madam Chair, and by a majority vote of all its members, shall submit its report to the House within 60 session days from such referral, together with the corresponding resolution. That is the constitutional provision, Madam Chair. The rules of impeachment of the 20th Congress, Section 7, submission of evidence and memoranda. If the committee finds that sufficient grounds for impeachment exist, the committee shall conduct a hearing. This hearing, Madam Chair. The committee, through the chairperson, may limit the period of examination and cross-examination by members of the committee. The committee shall have the power to issue compulsory processes for the attendance of witnesses and the production of documents and other related evidence. These are particular provisions which guide the hearing proper today. And therefore, Madam Chair, hearing is mentioned in both the Constitution and the rules. This is the hearing proper that is mentioned in the Constitution and the rules. And part of hearing, any hearing, is the receipt of evidence. Ang sinasabi po ng mga abogado ng pangalawang Pangulo, wala daw pong karapatan ang komite pong ito sa yugtong ito na tumanggap po ng mga ebidensya. Pero alam po natin na sa mga pagdinig, bahagi po ng mga pagdinig ang pagkuha po ng mga ebidensya. Make no mistake, Madam Chair, the committee will fulfill its constitutional mandate to conduct hearings in the context of impeachment. More importantly, make no mistake, we will receive evidence during these hearings. The subpoenas of all the witnesses and documents will be issued. The subpoenas on the audit reports and congressional records will be issued. The subpoenas on the SALNs, on the bank records, on the tax documents, on the businesses, corporate records of the Duterte Carpio couple and their business interests placed in the SALNs of 2024 will be issued. We will fulfill this mandate today, Madam Chair, until the very end of these proceedings. Yun lamang po. Maraming salamat.
Just for the record, the use of mini trial by some members of the Justice Committee is intended only to make a distinction between the proceeding before the Justice Committee and the trial which will happen in the Senate. Let us always be reminded that our parameter in our hearing proper is the determination of probable cause only, which means the justification to be able to proceed to trial. Again, we are not yet determining the guilt. We are not holding trial. This is just a clarificatory hearing for the purpose of determining probable cause, which will allow us to proceed to trial in the Senate.
Madam Chair.
That is for the record. The
Madam
Honorable
Chair.
Ko.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, a comment.
The Honorable Ko and then the Honorable D.S. Puno.
Madam Chair, also for the record, there is a statement released by the Office of the Vice President, no, echoing the parts of the letter issued by Council, and again using the word quote-unquote mini trial. Madam Chair, on the record, I'd like to contest, no, and express my grievance on the use of the word mini trial. What is happening on the floor, Madam Chair, is determination of probable cause. It is a different, no, proceeding that if you also provide equivalents in how we do this in the judicial proceedings, clear naman po ang distinction ng ginagawa ng Office of the Prosecutor. And kapag nahanap na po yung probable cause na yon, magpo-proceed na po sa trial sa korte. For me, Madam Chair, it is irresponsible to muddy legal concepts so as to create a reason para po hindi mag-appear and even defeat the capabilities of this committee to talk about evidence, pleadings that is provided and may avenue naman na pinapadaloy under our House rules. So, Madam Chair, I'd just like to put on the record yung grievance on the use of the word mini trial. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. The Honorable D.S. Puno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I refer back to the comment earlier by Congressman Jokno, which I think is very important, that we try to be sensitive to any actions that the committee takes that might open us to questioning on the higher judicial levels. We are in a hearing today. Hearings usually result in committee reports. Committee reports that will not have a judgment, that will not have any statement on the true veracity of any evidence that is presented here, because that is the work and job of the Senate, in my belief. No? So the final report that comes out is not a decision, it is not a judgment, it is a committee report that is forwarded to the Senate and recommending a trial. So I believe that the distinction between whether we are having a trial or not should begin there. And that is where we should rest it, not on the dictionary meaning of trial and so on and so forth. So the use of these terms, while sometimes unfortunate, does not result in nullifying the importance of these proceedings. So even the evidence that we review here, we will examine so that we do not send to the Senate meaningless evidence. It must be evidence that is germane to the complaints that have been filed, and it must be evidence that we have verified to be real facts and not just allegations, not just versions of the truth, but something that we all know is actually the truth, because why would we send it to the Senate if we do not believe that that is the case? So I believe that if we clarify this in the course of our proceedings, that we are not judging any testimony, but merely verifying it for purposes of accuracy, relevance to the complaint that has been filed, and so on, and come out with a committee report in that manner, I don't think that this committee can be accused of conducting a trial, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable De Lima first, and then the Honorable Rodriguez. Rodriguez George.
Yes, Madam Chair, just a brief reaction to the manifestation of the Honorable Representative Puno. Just to be very clear, what will be transmitted to the Senate is not the committee report. What is to be transmitted to the Senate is the articles of impeachment already. The committee report from this committee will be transmitted to the NBank for consideration of the recommendation, for the consideration and approval of the recommendation of this committee, whether probable cause exists or not. So let's just be very clear about it. And Madam Chair, I noticed that the ground rules, the guidelines distributed to us does not yet reflect the amendment. So if we can have, please, the copy
Committee
reflecting-
Secretary is directed to reflect or include the amendment that was approved already in the approved ground rules.
Thank you.
Are you finished with your manifestation, Honorable De Lima?
Madam Chair, another point. Can we have a confirmation from the committee secretariat that indeed respondent Sara Duterte and her counsels were duly notified of today's proceedings? Second, if so, is there any communication or anything, a pleading, a communication filed or submitted to the committee secretariat saying categorically that they are not appearing in today's hearing or in today's proceedings? Well, and another question is there also any communication or any submission made from their camp explaining the absence of respondent Sara Duterte? Because aside from the letter put on record by the Honorable Terry Ridon about questioning the proceedings under the erroneous premise that what is being conducted here is trial on the merits, there has been statements, pahayag, from Sara Duterte. I think this was circulated already to media. Let me just point out one important statement here. It's a pahayag from the Vice President of the Philippines, Sara Duterte, dated today, March 25. The second to the last paragraph says, naisumit ko na ang aking answer ad cautelam. Sa ngayon, wala nang dapat pang gawin ng komite, kundi ibasura ang mga reklamo dahil sa malinaw na kakulangan ng ebidensya. Is this an indication clear enough that she is waiving her right to participate in our proceedings? So I just wish to have that confirmation of the committee secretariat as to whether there's been any formal communication saying that they will not, whether she or by her counsel, will not participate in the proceedings before this committee henceforth.
The committee secretariat is directed to report to the committee the fact of having sent the notice of today's hearing to the respondent and whether there is a communication or a document filed in relation to that invitation, as well as the same letter which was earlier manifested by the Honorable Ridon. And if there are any other documents received from the respondent, the committee secretariat is likewise directed to report to the committee. Let's begin with the notice sent to the respondent. Comsec, please.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. The invitation for Vice President Sara Duterte to attend today's initial hearing was sent by electronic mail on March 19, 2026 at 10:25 a.m. It was acknowledged by, it was received March 19, 2026, 12:34 and acknowledged by the Central Records Unit of the Office of the Vice President. The invitation for two Nervasa and Salazar, counsel for Vice President Sara Duterte to attend today's meeting was emailed on March 19, 2026, 10:21 a.m., received March 19, 2026, 1:45 p.m., acknowledged by Fortune Nervasa Salazar. As far as any communication from the Office of the Vice President manifesting that she will not attend today's initial hearing, the only communication we received with respect to that is the letter from her counsel, Fortune Nervasa and Salazar. That's all, Your Honor.
Any comment from the Honorable De Lima?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's very unfortunate that the respondent herself is disrespecting the proceedings before this committee. At the very least, she should have manifested formally that she will not be appearing before this committee, and rather than just issuing statements before the media. Because that letter submitted by her counsel, the Fortune Law Office, is not yet very clear there. Are they appearing or not? Show respect. They cannot just assume that this is going to be a trial, because it's already clarified that it is not full-blown trial. This is not trial on the merits, but simply akin to preliminary investigation. With, of course, right to counsel, right to appear, right to assist the clients, and right to submit clarificatory questions to the Honorable Chair. So this is disrespect, another manifestation of her affront the constitutional process. I remember what the Honorable Chair cited earlier in her opening remarks. There's this quote from former Supreme Court Justice, I think it's Noel Tiham, not Antonio Tiham, as stated earlier, about the fact that failure to appear, failure to participate in the impeachment proceedings, it's itself a betrayal of public trust, because this is a formal constitutional process that everyone is expected to respect, especially the parties like the respondents. So it is very unfortunate that we have this mindset again, this attitude on the part of the respondent, showing disrespect and affront to the constitutional process of impeachment. Thank you.
Thank you. Now the Honorable Rog Gutierrez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I believe the Honorable De Lima has made some good points, and we were actually moving on with the discussion. But I just wanted to go back po, just a short manifestation on dun sa issue ng mini trial, because this representation agrees with our colleagues here today that I think we should confront, I think was the term used, this framing of what is going on here today. Kasi Madam Chair, we take exception to this because I think it does not have any legal effect the way that it was called a mini trial. If ever even it was mentioned in passing, I would assume. It was never in any official memo. But it shouldn't have any legal effect. No amount of nomenclature can change the proceedings that we're having here. And actually, I believe, Madam Chair, what should be controlling is the letter that actually this committee has submitted to the party of the respondent. And I believe we have here, it was reflected in the letter, March 19, 2026, letter invitation to the Vice President at the March 25, 2026 committee hearing intends to discuss the Saballa and Cabrera impeachment complaints, as well as administrative matters. This includes the setting of ground rules, acting on request for subpoena, scheduling hearing dates, identifying witnesses to be invited for the next hearing to ensure efficient and orderly proceedings. These, Madam Chair, are matters germane precisely to the functions of this House as that body in which the impeachment proceedings are to be initiated. This is not in any way close to a trial, even if we call it a trial. Tanggalin na po natin yung mini doon. Sabihin natin we called it a trial. What we're having here today is very far from that. As mentioned, I think it was Justice Carpio who once mentioned in a concurring opinion that, and it has been thrown around here a lot, no? It is akin to a preliminary investigation. And very clear if we are even to compare to that under Rule 112, Section 3, Paragraph E, they have their actually clarificatory hearings. So no matter any which way that we call this proceeding, very clear po na this hearing that we're having, if it's going to be considered akin to that, is nowhere near an actual trial by any judicial body. So I think, Madam Chair, we really have to dispel that framing na this is a mini trial or a trial. It's very far from the truth of what is going on here. And I think si Deputy Speaker Puno made some very fine points na what the goal of the hearing that we're having here is very different. In fact, what will be presented here will be different from what will be presented in a trial, should it proceed to that. So, Madam Chair, I just want to, again, manifest, make it clear, I join our colleagues in debunking this mini trial categorization. And in fact, what we're doing here is constitutionally mandated. I believe it was mentioned very clearly. There is the provision that it is only after hearing, and a majority vote of all its members that committee shall submit its report to the House within 60 session days from such referral. This is about the constitutional provision on impeachment po, Madam Chair. So very clear, we're all moving, this procedure is moving within the pace as provided by the Constitution, as you know, clarified by the Supreme Court in this most recent ruling. So again, Madam Chair, I join our colleagues. Thank you.
If there are no other manifestations on the letter sent by the counsels of the respondent, we shall proceed to the next matter.
Mr. Chairman,
the Honorable Vice Chair Dumogan, and then the Honorable Rodriguez. Rufus.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What is important to me is notice had been sent to respondent in her counsel. And there is conclusive proof of receipt. Hence, this committee has complied with the element of due process. Unfortunate, that has already been said, she does not recognize the proceedings in this committee. Most important, you were duly notified of today's proceedings, but did not appear. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The Honorable Rufus Rodriguez.
Madam Chair, if I was so disappointed by the answer, consolidated answer ad coeltelam, I am really totally dismayed by this letter sent by the lawyers. We have here 6 lawyers who has submitted a letter to the Honorable Chairperson, Jervil Luistro, that we have no jurisdiction to conduct this hearing, which they term as mini trial. Madam Chair, in the first page of the letter, March 24, 2026, it says, the Constitution vests the authority and power to conduct trial solely in the Senate. Clearly, what applies here is the constitutional provision that in the impeachment proceedings, we will have a hearing. It is not a trial. That is very much clear under our Constitution. They are citing here Section 3.8, Article 11 of the Constitution, the state shall have the sole power to try and decide all cases of impeachment. That is right. But we are governed not on the hearing by the Senate, but we are governed by the proceedings on impeaching to find out probable cause. Then, Madam Chair, in this letter, the second page, it says, the same, Article 3.2.11, the same does not give the committee any power or jurisdiction. Can you imagine that? How can they be able to support this allegation that the committee has no power or jurisdiction to conduct any form of trial, mini or full-blown, because precisely we are not having a trial here on the merits, but only, Madam Chair, on a hearing to determine probable cause. And then it also says that it is basic that all rules must not contravene. We are not. The committee is not contravening the Constitution nor our rules or any law for that matter. And then finally it says, Madam Chair, that on the ground they're saying that we have no authority and jurisdiction on the ground that the committee and or the HOR as well as any of its members lack jurisdiction to conduct any form of trial or exercise of its incidents. Any law student would know that precisely our committee has the power to hear on finding probable cause by the 2 complaints where we found sufficiency in form, substance, and grounds. Therefore, I move that we issue an order traversing these particular erroneous allegations in this letter. Erroneous because they are the ones contravening the Constitution. The lawyers of the Vice President are the ones contravening our rules of impeachment. But then, in that letter, we invite them again to appear in the next hearing because we are always mindful of giving due process. So move, Mr. Chairman. Let us answer this by this committee.
Second.
We should answer that these are all erroneous and is not in compliance, is against the Constitution itself, which they are citing. And then be giving them due process. I am disappointed, Madam Chair. This is the chance of the Vice President. In their answer, they did not put forth. I thought it was a strategy that in the hearing, they'll be able to appear. Although, Madam Chair, I don't agree that we should have the Vice President appear here, but counsel should appear and be able to traverse all the 6 grounds of the 3rd complaint and the 5 grounds of the 5th complaint. So I move that we issue an order traversing this, saying that these are all erroneous and that they, in spite of their erroneous interpretation of the Constitution, they are invited to the next hearing if they so mind, because it's clear, our ground rules are clear, the lawyers are
May
able
we
to...
be clarified on
Yes.
the purpose of your motion of inviting the lawyers in relation to the letter that they sent to us?
Also that, and probably, but no, Madam Chair, very clearly, the letter has no basis in law, on the Constitution, on our rules. We don't have to let them here to explain. I'm saying that we should be able to tell the lawyers that this is really a scrap of paper that they have submitted to this honorable committee. It's an insult to the committee if this is what they want. And so therefore, we have an order from the committee for them to tell them that they are wrong and that they are invited in the next hearing so that we continue to try to give due process to the Vice President, which we wanted precisely to have her side on these grounds. Thank you.
Your motion, Honorable Rodriguez, is to invite the lawyers to answer to the committee about the erroneous impression that they're giving about the proceeding of the Justice Committee. Is that your motion?
No, not anymore. They have already stated this. What I'm saying is that you have an order denying this manifestation and putting our reasons why their letter dated March 24 has no basis in the Constitution, the rules, and the law. And then at the same time, invite them to attend the next hearing so that if they're minded.
We are
to send
inviting the
Yeah.
parties and the councils every time we have a hearing.
Chair. But in this case, they are saying that they do not recognize our jurisdiction. And so we're telling them that please come and recognize it because your premises here is totally unfounded and baseless. Thank you.
Right. So there is a motion to issue an order
Madam Chair.
or an answer to the letter belying all the erroneous allegations contained in the letter of Fortuna Narvasa. Do I hear a second?
Madam Chair, it is not, we do not answer. We order. So it will not be, the committee will not answering anybody. It will be an order because we have the jurisdiction to order by stating that they have no basis and they are invited to appear. Thank you,
Madam
but
Chair,
it depends on
There
the
is
chair.
a motion to issue an order to the councils of the respondent to attend in our subsequent hearings because all their allegations are erroneous. I am
amendment to the
pertaining to the
motion.
letter sent by Fortuna Narvasa.
Amendment to the motion, Madam Chair.
The Honorable D.S. Puno is recognized.
Yes, may I recommend that in the amendment that we state that this matter was discussed at this hearing and found to be defective and erroneous. So I think that those statements of Representative Rodriguez should be included in the order, and then the invitation. But I think we should make it clear that it was discussed, just so that it's not made to seem later on that it was dismissed without due deliberation here.
Madam Chair, may I...
Is this in relation also to the motion? The Honorable Zia Alonto Adjong.
Before we act on the motion, Madam Chair, just for the public consumption, because our kababayans are watching us right now, the order as proposed by Congressman Rufus Rodriguez should not be taken as something for this committee to treat the lawyers with an equal footing. Because the legitimacy of this process does not rely on the acceptance or recognition of these lawyers, or anyone for that matter. We are exercising our constitutional duty to proceed with the investigation, with the hearing as we are conducting right now. Para po sa kaalaman ng karamihan, yung sinasabi po ni Congressman Rufus Rodriguez is not really in response to put them in the equal footing as though the lawyers and this committee is exchanging ideas or opinions. Because number one, hindi po nakasalalay ang integridad, ang proseso at legitimacy ng hearing na ito sa acknowledgement, recognition ng sino man or kanino mang parte, Madam Speaker.
Madam Chair, the letter was submitted
The Honorable D.S. Puno.
to the chairperson as chairman.
It is addressed to the chairperson.
Addressed to the
D.S.
chairperson
Puno.
as chairperson of the committee.
That's correct.
So I think at the very least we should manifest that this has been brought out to the members. It has been read by Representative Ridon, and it has been commented upon by Congressman Rufus Rodriguez. That does not make them and give them equal status with us. It merely tells them that we are fair, and we have taken this into consideration and actually found their manifestations and their letter to be defective in substance, no, in what
Madam
they
Chair.
allege.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable Jokno.
Yes, I have some serious reservations about using the term order because it could be twisted and made to appear that we are acting like a court. I would agree that we should respond to the letter since it was addressed to the chair. Perhaps the chair could synthesize all of the discussions made today. And if I may add on that point, we are exercising a constitutional duty today and in succeeding hearings to conduct a hearing. And we have gone through all of the form and substance. We have already made the finding that there's sufficient ground to proceed with the impeachment proceedings. So what else do we have to do except to look at the evidence? Yan po yung tungkulin natin. And it was be clear to the public and to the lawyers of the Vice President that that is what we are doing today. Thank you.
So the suggestion of the Honorable Jokno is instead of an order of the committee, that the chairperson answer the letter of Fortuna Vasa. Let's hear the comment of the proponent, the Honorable Rodriguez.
Madam Chair, the issue has been brought to the committee. It's not anymore the letter is addressed to you, but precisely the issue has been discussed by the committee proper. And so it therefore should be an order, not a singular letter from the chairman, so that it is clear that that is the position of the committee, that we are ordering that they appear and that we are saying in that order that all their allegations, all their statements here are erroneous, have no basis in the Constitution, in law, and in fact. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other comment from the Honorable Jokno? Are you now amenable to the original motion of the Honorable Rodriguez?
I'm very concerned, Madam Chair, with the use of the word order because I anticipate that the councils, based on what I read in this letter, it would appear that they are looking for reasons to question the committee before the courts. And if we use that term, they can use it against us and say, see, you earlier you mentioned mini trial, now you are ordering us. And that will, then they can use that as a ground for questioning the committee. In fact, Madam Chair, they are entitled to their own opinion about what we are doing today. If they believe that we don't have jurisdiction, that's up to them. But I believe that we must just do our duty, fulfill what the Constitution commands, and hayaan na natin sila kung yan ang gusto nilang opinion. It's very clear from our discussion that we are not doing what they claim we are doing, that we are not going outside the jurisdiction, but rather following what the Constitution provides.
Chair.
Limpyo nga palibot, luwas nga kabuhi sa balatian. Reduce, reuse, recycle, kag hindi magaboy sang basura bisan diin. Mangin responsable, protektahi ang palibot kag kinaiyahan. Mangin responsable sa paghimos sang imong nga basura. Pagproteher sa environment, unahon ta.
Kung nga panahon sang social media, isa lang ka-click, pwede ka makabulig, pero pwede ka man makapakalain. Amo ina nga importante, untaton ang cyberbullying. Madamo subong nga kabataan kag bisan mga tigulang ang nagagamit sang online platform para makapang-insulto, magpangaway, makaguba sang isig kapareho, makaguba sang relasyon, pahuyan ang iban, kag madamo pa nga paagi nga madako nga epekto sa kabuhi sang mga biktima. Gani, dapat nga antes kita mag-post, antes mag-comment, antes mag-share, huna-hunaa, anay. Kung hindi makabulig, hindi na pag-ipadayon. Kung makasakit, hindi na pag-itype. Kung hindi sigurado, kag base hindi matuod, hindi pag-i-share. Kung ikaw man ang biktima, hindi magpabaya. I-report ang nagabuli sa imo, i-block, magpangayo bulig sa pamilya, abyan, kag otoridad. Hindi mo kinanglan antoson ang cyberbullying. Bangod may lahi kita, nga magpahatang sang penalidad sa ila. Ipalapnag ang respeto, tindugan ang kabuhi, untaton ang cyberbullying.
Ang ini nga pahinumdom ang ginadulong sa inyo sang Bombo Radyo Coronadal. Basta radyo, Bombo!
Kabombo! Patyang suga kung wala na ini ginagamit. Huksa ang appliances kung hindi na kinahanglan. Tipigi ang kuryente. Tipigi ang imo nga kwarta. Kagbuligi ang kalibutan. Magkinot sa tanan nga tion. Conserve energy, subong kag sa palabuton kabombo.
Ang standby mode sang inyo computers kag gadgets nagakonsumo gihapon sang kuryente. I-shutdown na sing husto kag bunuton ang saksakan kung tapos na ang obra o kung hampang. Kung pwede lang, gamita ang laptop kaysa desktop computer. Mas energy efficient ang laptop kag mas gamay ang kuryente nga kinahanglanon sini.
Ang kada bata deserve magtuon kag magdula. Hindi pagpaobraha ang bata, protektahi ang ila katungod kag hatagi sila sang masanag nga palaabuton. Kay ang kabataan amo ang paglaom sang aton buwas. Buligay kita sa pagpanalipod sa ila.
Sanag nga barato, ginarekomendar ang pag-switch ang LED bulbs. Mas masanag, mas matawhay, kag mas gamay ang konsumo sa kurente. Kumparar sa ordinaryo nga bombilya, masanag nga hindi masakit sa busa, gani magiwais kag mag-LED bulbs na.
Bombo, handa ba ka mo sa katalagman? Emergency kit ato ni preparar daan. Magpamati sa Bombo Radyo. Mangin maaptik sa pagbakwit kung mabaskog na ang ulan. Kag nag-uumpisa ang baha. Hindi na paghulaton nga maglala ang sitwasyon. Maging preparado sa tanan nga tion. Amligan ang tagsa kakabuhi.
Abrihi ang bintana. Kung adlaw, hindi na kinanglan magpasiga sang suga, gamita ang natural nga kasanag sang adlaw. Agod mangin masanag ang sulod sang panimalay. Mas presko pang hangin, mas dako pang makinot sa bil sang kuryente. Diin ka pa, masanag ng balay. Preska pang lugar, kag mabuhinan pa ang balayran sa kuryente.
Di bala manami kung fresh ka ang hangin ng imo nga ginaginhawa? Gani, drive less, magtanom sang kahoy, kag hindi maghaboy sang basura, bisan diin. Mas green nga palibot, mas fresh air ang aton masimhot. Maging responsable, mag-cooperar sa tree planting activity. Mas green, mas healthy.
Ang pagtipig sang enerhiya hindi lang para sa subong, kundi para sa palabuton sang aton nga kabataan, mangin responsable nga konsumidor.
Ang Bombo Radio Philippines. Fully digitalized. Numero 1 sa balita, komentaryo, drama at serbisyo publiko. Bombo Radio Philippines. Bombo Radio Philippines. Unmatched. Number 1 and most trusted source of news and information.
Basta Radio Bombo!
This is Bombo Network News Noontime Edition, broadcasting live at Bombo Radio Broadcast Center, Makati City, Philippines. Sa ating mga headlines, pag-usad ng impeachment case laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte, nagpapatuloy dyan sa Kamara de Representantes sa kabila ng hindi pagsipot ng kampo ng pangalawang Pangulo. Legal team nitong si Vice President Sara Duterte naasahan namang haharap mamaya sa publiko kaugnay ng kanilang sentimiento kaugnay dun sa impeachment proceedings sa Kamara de Representantes. Abangan din mamaya mga kabombo at mga ka-Star Nation, mga update kaugnay ng iba pang mga balita ating tinutugay-gayan kagaya na lamang dyan sa Department of Justice kaugnay dun sa development ng kampo laban sa pamilya Bilyar. At live nationwide via satellite, dumako na tayo sa mga detalye ng ating mga balita. Nagsimula na ho ngayong araw, 25 ng Marso, ang formal na pagdinig para sa impeachment case laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte dyan sa House Committee on Justice. Sa kabila ito ng hindi pagsipot ng Vice Presidente at ng kanyang kampo. Itinuloy naman ng lupon ang presentasyon ng mga ebidensya at testimonya mula sa mga complainant na naghain ng reklamo. Dalawang impeachment complaints kasi mga kabombo ang kinilala ng komite bilang merong sapat na forma at sustansya o yung form and substance na nakabatay sa umano'y paglabag sa konstitusyon at maling paggamit ng kapangyarihan. at nagpadala ng opisyal na tugon ang kampo ni Vice President Sara Duterte nitong nakalipas na pagkakataon sa pamamagitan ng kanyang legal team na humihiling na ibasura na ang mga kaso dahil umano sa kakulangan ng batayan. Pero ayon sa committee chairperson na si Batangas Representative Jerby Luistro, tuloy ang proseso alinsunod na rin sa mandato ng konstitusyon kahit wala ang Vice Presidente o hindi ito personal na haharap. Inaasahan naman na magtatagal ang mga pagdinig habang inilalatag pa ang mga dokumento at testimonya ng mga testigo o saksi ukol sa mga aligasyon at kung makakakita ng sapat na ebidensya ay saka lamang ito uusad. Maaring maisumite ng komite ang kanilang ulat sa plenaryo ng Kamara para naman sa botohan kung itutuloy pa ang impeachment trial sa panigho ng Senado na siya namang tatayo o aakto bilang impeachment court pag sapit ng pagkakataon na ito ay makakuha ng sapat na bilang ng boto mula dyan sa Kamara de Representantes. Sa puntong ito ng ating balitaan, kunin po natin ang linya rin ng ating mga reporters mula dyan sa Kamara de Representantes kaugnay ng kanilang mga update hinggil naman sa nagpapatuloy pa rin na pagdinig ng House Committee on Justice at i-check natin maya-maya ang linya ni Bombo Annalise Soberano at ng ating pang coverage team. Katuwang ito si Bombo Isa Cotoner maya-maya lamang. Kanina mga kabombo, mga Kastar Nation, nagkaroon na ng inisyal na paghimay kung maglalabas pa ang komite ng kanilang direktiba o kaya ay kautusan para doon sa legal team ni Vice President Sara Duterte, bagay na pinagtalunan sa pagitan ng mga miyembro ng House Committee on Justice. At kaugnay ho niyan mga kabombo, mga Kastar Nation, ating kunin ang mga latest information mula ho dyan sa Kamara de Representantes sa nagpapatuloy na pagdinig dahil yung impeachment laban nga kay Vice President Sara ay tuloy nga kahit hindi naman ito nagpakita at yung iba pang mga hakbang ng Committee on Justice ating alamin. May balita si Bombo Annalise Soberano.
Tiniyak ni House Justice Panel Chairman Representative Jerby Luistro na hindi napapabayaan ng Kamara ang iba pang mahalagang tungkulin sa kabila ng proseso ng impeachment laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Ayon kay Luistro, patuloy na tinutugunan ng Kamara ang suliraning kinakaharap ng bansa tulad ng pagtaas ng presyo ng langis at mga bilihin. Kabilang sa mga hakbang ang panukalang suspension ng excise tax sa langis, pati na rin ang mga batas para sa inflation, food security at mas maayos na serbisyong pampubliko. Binanggit din niya na ang mga naipasa at isinusulong na panukala gaya ng pag-alis ng travel tax, pagpapalawak ng digital payments sa gobyerno at mga reforma sa edukasyon. Pakinggan natin si Representative Jerby Luistro.
At inaasahang makatutulong sa ating mga kababayan. We also continue to work on measures that address inflation, food security, and social services. Also, just this March 2026, the House has acted on measures that directly affect the daily lives of Filipinos, passing a bill abolishing the travel tax, advancing legislation to institutionalize digital payments in government transactions, and pushing reforms to make public services more accessible and efficient.
Sa gitna nito, nilinaw din ni Luistro na ang impeachment laban kay VP Sara ay hindi isang criminal trial, kundi isang prosesong konstitusyonal upang alamin kung may sapat na batayan o probable cause laban sa opisyal. Ayon kay Luistro, mahalagang timbangin ang ebidensya at konsensya sa pagdedesisyon. Iginiit din niya na nagpapatuloy ang pagdinig kahit wala ang Vice President at pananagutan ng komite na gampanan ang tungkulin nito ng may katapatan, patas at alinsunod sa saligang batas. Pakinggan natin muli si Representative Jerby Luistro.
Galang sa saligang batas. Dito sa komite, susundan natin ang saligang batas. Hindi natin tatalikuran ang ating tungkulin. Iyan ang inaasahan ng taong bayan. Hindi pag-iwas, kundi pagharap. Hindi katahimikan, kundi pananagutan. Sapagkat ang panunumpa ay hindi lamang binibigkas sa simula. Ito ay pinatutunayan sa bawat pagkakataon na tayo ay sinusubok. So regardless of the participation of the Vice President, and even in her absence, this committee will proceed. We will do our duty with resolve, without hesitation, and without delay. The Constitution entrusts the House with the exclusive power to initiate impeachment cases. And this committee stands at the forefront of that responsibility.
Samantala, binigyan din ni Akbayan Party List Representative 𝐂𝐿 ang kahalagahan at proseso ng impeachment sa isinasagawang pagdinig ng Kamara. Ayon kay Diokno, ang Kamara ang may kapangyarihang magsampa ng impeachment case, habang ang Senado naman ang lilitis at magpapasya. Layunin ng kasalukuyang pagdinig na alamin kung may sapat na batayan upang ituloy ang kaso laban sa Vice President. Binanggit din ni Diokno, hindi niya napatunayang sapat ang forma at nilalaman ang mga reklamong inihain, kaya kinakailangang magsagawa ng pagdinig upang suriin ang ebidensya at mga testigo. Iginiit din niya na ang kahalagahan ng pagprotekta ng mga testigo at masusing verifikasyon ng mga ebidensya upang mailabas ang katotohanan. Matapos ang pagdinig sa komite, boboto ang buong Kamara kung dapat bang isulong ang paglilitis sa Senado. Naglatag din ng mga panuntunan ang komite upang matiyak ang maayos, patas at episyenteng proseso, kabilang ang limitadong oras ng pagsasalita at maayos na pagkilala sa mga miyembro. Binigyan din ni Representative Diokno na ang impeachment ay isang seryosong prosesong konstitusyonal na nangangailangan ng disiplina, paggalang sa batas at pagtutok sa tungkulin, hindi sa personalidad. Mula sa Kamara, Bombo Anali Montaño Soberano nag-uulat. And this is Bombo Radio Philippines, the #1 and most trusted source of news and information. Sa radyo, Bombo!
9 na minuto na makalipas ang alas 12 ng tanghali. Standby ang ating coverage team dyan pa rin sa Kamara de Representantes maya-maya sapagkat babalikan natin yung kanilang sitwasyon dyan sa pag-usad pa rin itong pagdinig ukol sa impeachment case ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Samantala, kaugnay niyan, tiniyak ni Akbayan Representative 𝐂𝐿 na dadaan sa butas ng karayom ang impeachment complaint laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Sa kanyang naging mensahe sa pagbubukas ng hearing proper para naman sa dalawang impeachment complaint laban kay Vice President Duterte, sinabi ni 𝐂𝐿 na ang impeachment proceedings ang magiging daan upang makilatis ng husto kung may sapat na basihan ang mga reklamo laban sa pangalawang Pangulo ng ating bansa. Sinisiguro din ng mambabatas na ibabatay lamang sa itinatakda ng House Rules ng kanilang mga patakaran dyan ang gagawin ng komite sa kabuuan ng naturang pagdinig. Ayon pa kay Representative 𝐂𝐿, ito ang pagkakataon ng pangalawang Pangulo para questionin at kumprontahin ang lahat ng aligasyon laban sa kanya, kaya't mahalagang magpakita rin doon ang pangalawang Pangulo kung kanyang nanaisin. Nanindigan din mga kabombo ang mambabatas na ang tanging paraan para lumabas ang katotohanan ukol sa mga aligasyon laban sa Vice Presidente ay ang isinasagawang hearing ng kanilang komite. Ganon din mga kabombo, dahilan para mas maging maingat ang pagpresenta at pagkilatis doon sa mga ebidensya na inilalahad sa naturang lupon. Ito rin ang dahilan niya kung kaya't inihain niya ang motion para naman ilipat ang kustodiya ni Ramil Madriaga, ang nagpapakilalang dating bagman ng pangalawang Pangulo na inaasahan sana na magpipresenta bilang isa sa mga testigo sa kaso o sa reklamo laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Narito ang naging bahagi ng pahayag ni Representative 𝐂𝐿.
Ang impeachment case na ito ay dadaan sa butas ng karayom. This is the only way for the truth to come out. Pagkatapos ng committee, boboto po ang buong Kamara at magpapasya kung dapat ilitis ang kaso sa Senado. At sa bawat hakbang, nakatutok ang buong bansa para bantayan ang proseso. Duty is clear, Madam Chair. This committee must secure and verify every piece of evidence, and we must protect every witness so they may give their testimony under oath. Ito ay naaayon mismo sa Section 7 at 8 ng Rules of Impeachment. Itong dahilan kung bakit po tayo naghain ng motion para makuha ang kopya ng SALN ng Vice Presidente at para bigyan ng proteksyon ang testigo na si Mr. Ramil Madriaga.
Bagian mga kabombo nang naging pahayag nitong si Representative 𝐂𝐎𝐿 sa pagsisimula ng pagdinig ng impeachment case laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte. At mga kabombo, mga ka-Star Nation, sa tuloy-tuloy natin pagtutok pa rin sa mga kaganapan dyan, nanindigan ito si House Justice Committee Vice Chairperson at Baguio City Representative Mauricio Dumogan na kailangan ng presensya nitong si Vice President Sara Duterte sa pagdinig ng naturang komite sa dalawang impeachment complaints laban sa pangalawang Pangulo. Iginigiit ng mambabatas na sa oras na magpresenta ang respondent ng kanilang ebidensya at argumento, kailangan anya na mayroong presensya ng pangalawang Pangulo upang magbigay ng kanyang sariling komento hinggil naman sa mga inaakusa. Maaari anya na hindi siya dumalo kung ang complainants ang magpresenta ng kanilang dokumento dahil kanya-kanya ang kanilang pagsagot sa anumang katanungan mula sa mga miyembro ng kanilang komite. Tanong ng Baguio lawmaker, sino ang sasagot ng mga clarificatory question kung hindi naman sisipot ang pangalawang Pangulo? Bagamat hindi ito isang criminal proceedings, dapat umano na bigyan ang kampo ni Vice President Sara Duterte ng pagkakataon pa rin na makasagot kahit sa tanging ang mga legal representatives man lang ang dumalo sa pagdinig. Nanindigan si Rodriguez na hindi lamang dapat na limitado sa pagbibigay ng legal counsel ang siyang karapatan para naman sa mga gagabay sa isang inaakusahan kagaya ni Vice President Sara Duterte para magkaroon ho ng pagpapasya na payagan siya na makapagsalita rin naman doon sa harap ng komite. Inihalimbawa rin ng Cagayan de Oro representative ang karapatan nitong si Vice President Sara laban sa self-incrimination kung saan maaaring makasama pa ito sa pangalawang Pangulo ang anumang kanyang sasabihin, kaya dapat ang pagbibigay ng kanyang mga abogado ng pagkakataon na makapagsalita ay napaka-importante para naman sa kanya. Narito ang naging bahagi ng pahayag ni Representative Rufus Rodriguez.
If I may confirm, the Honorable Rodriguez, you would like the committee to acknowledge the right of the counsel even in the absence of the respondent.
That's correct. Based on jurisprudence, Madam Chair, that although this is not a criminal proceeding, it is akin to a criminal case because we are trying to remove and there is also perpetual disqualification. And so, in other words, the Vice President can send her counsels here to appear for her. In fact, the right to self-incrimination is there. And a person who is now being investigated has the right to already not take the stand or at the time she wants to appear to be able to invoke it when she is asked an incriminatory question. So that is the position of this counsel.
Agian mga pahayag ni Representative Rufus Rodriguez kaugnay naman doon sa kanyang mga mungkahi na pinag-uusapan dyan sa House Committee on Justice na kasabay ng pagpapatuloy nitong impeachment proceedings sa kaso ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Samantala, kumustahin natin ang iba pang mga sitwasyon dyan ho sa Kamara de Representantes kung may mga humabol pa ng mga miyembro ng kapulungan para dumalo dito sa impeachment hearing knowing na hindi papayagan yun hong mga non-members ng House Committee on Justice na makapag-participate o kaya naman ay makapag-bat-in dun sa mga panahon ng pagtatanong dyan sa naturang lupon. Alamin natin mga update mula kay Bombo Isa Cotoner.
Bombo,
Dennis, yun nga no, nagpapatuloy ngayon dito sa House of Representatives yung pagdinig ng House Committee on Justice hinggil nga doon sa impeachment case laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Kanina, Bombo Dennis, ay may nilinaw no, si House Committee on Justice Chairperson 𝐉𝐔𝐒𝐓𝐈𝐂𝐄 na ang kasalukuyang pagdinig ng komite ay isang clarificatory hearing lamang at hindi pa ang isang ganap na paglilitis. Ayon kay 𝐿𝐿, maihintulad sa isang preliminary investigation kung saan layunin lamang na alamin kung mayroon probable cause o sapat na batayan ang mga reklamo.
Okay,
Binigyan
Bombo,
din
isa.
niya na hindi pa tinutukoy na sa yugtong
Yes, Bombo,
Yes,
isa.
Bombo.
Bigyan daan muna natin yung nagpapatuloy dyan na pagdinig sapagkat may mga direktiba na mula sa chairperson ng naturang komite dyan sa House Committee on Justice. Mamaya babalikan kita, Bombo Isa, at ituloy natin yung pagtutok doon sa hearing mismo, Bombo Isa, mga kabombo at mga ka-Star Nation.
2016 to 2022. So ordered. The committee is likewise in receipt of the manifestation from the Honorable Congresswoman Laila De Lima. May we hear from the Honorable De Lima?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This representation confirms that as an ex-officio member of the Committee on Justice and as an endorser of the Sabalya et al. Complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte, I filed yesterday, March 24, with the Committee on Justice and with a copy furnished to respondent by the committee secretary, a request for the issuance of subpoena duces tecum and ad testificandum for the following 5 individuals, 5 resource persons and or witnesses. 1, Attorney Gloria A. Camora of the Intelligence and Confidential Funds Audit Office of the Commission on Audit to produce, identify, and authenticate official 𝐂𝐎𝐶 audit records, including liquidation reports, disbursement vouchers, certifications, and related submissions of the Office of the Vice President and the Department of Education pertaining to the disposition of the confidential funds for the years 2022 and 2023. In my letter, Madam Chair, there's a long list actually of those copies, of those documents, the original copies of which we are seeking to be produced via subpoena from Attorney Gloria Camora of the Intelligence and Confidential Funds Audit Office of the Commission on Audit. I so move, Madam Chair, to issue subpoena duces tecum and ad testificandum to the named individual or named employee or official of the Commission on Audit.
There is a motion for the issuance of subpoena to Attorney Gloria A. Camora. You mentioned the Honorable De Lima, officials from 𝐂𝐶. Other than
Attorney Gloria Camora.
Other than Attorney Camora, are there any other officials you would
Just
like to be
Attorney
subpoenaed?
Gloria Camora for the moment. Attorney Gloria Camora of the Intelligence and Confidential Funds Audit Office of the Commission on Audit, because she's the custodian of these 𝐂𝐶 records and documents, including liquidation reports, disbursement vouchers, certifications, and related submissions of the Office of the Vice President and DepEd pertaining to confidential funds.
There is a motion for issuance of subpoena duces tecum and ad testificandum to Attorney Gloria A. Camora with respect as well to the documents pertaining to the confidential funds during the alleged period.
Yes, Madam Chair. As I said, it's a long list actually. There are the checks, the disbursement vouchers as listed, proof of submissions, liquidation reports, certifications, accomplishment reports, certifications of various dates, etc. It's a long list as listed in the letter of this representation, the letter request of this representation.
We are directing the committee secretary to provide copy of the manifestation or the request to the justice members. And the same is also adopted in support of the motion. raised by the Honorable De Lima.
Madam Chair, discussion. I'd like to have a clarification.
Just for the record, the motion of the Honorable De Lima has been seconded by the Honorable
Yes,
Zamora.
now
Honorable
discussion.
Rodriguez.
I would like to clarify. Clarification from the proponent, from the movant. Is this the confidential funds of 2022 and then 2023 of the Office of the Vice President and not the Office of the Secretary of the Department of Education? May we know? May we clarify?
There are documents pertaining to the confidential funds of the Office of the Vice President, and there are also documents pertaining to the confidential funds for the Office of the DepEd, Department of Education.
Madam
Because
Chair.
those are grounds number 1 and 2 of the affidavit, of the complaint, the Sabalia et al. Complaint.
Madam Chair, when our distinguished Congresswoman De Lima, she mentioned of 22 and 23 years. In your first motion, when you stated the motion, 22, 23. So that's why I'm getting clarification. Are you now including the DepEd confidential funds? Because your motion is 22 and 23.
22, 2023.
Because the COA has not been able to have a final notice of disallowance on the DepEd confidential funds.
Again, may I?
Yeah, because when I heard you, it was 2022, 2023. That is pertaining to the Office of the Vice President. But then now you're saying, in my clarification, that you are also moving for her to be able to give documents regarding the confidential funds of the Office of the Department of Education where she was secretary. Let us be clarified on that.
Yes,
also
Madam
including?
Chair. With respect to the DepEd, these are also, again, the list is here. With respect to DepEd, there will be accomplishment report dated September 30, 2023, for the period July 12 to September 30, 2023. So there's a covered period, actually, 2022, 2023, and also it's 2023, and the certification issued January 1, 2024. Certification dated December 30, 2023. So covering also the Department of Education.
I will therefore object, Madam Chair, because it is this humble representation's position that under the Duterte versus House of Representatives ruling, only actions pertaining to the impeachable office of the impeachable official can only be the subject matter here. Objection, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair.
The Honorable Rodriguez is consistent
May I
in his
respond to
position
that
since our
objection?
determination of substance. The Honorable
Yes.
De Lima.
Well, that matter was settled already during the proceedings for the determination in substance and also for the proceedings for the determination of whether there are sufficient grounds for impeachment. At any rate, the Honorable Rufus Rodriguez made mention of the ruling of the Supreme Court in the Sara Duterte versus House of Representatives. And it says there, during the incumbency. Yes, it says there, during the incumbency of the impeachable official. Here, the Vice President. Now, it doesn't say in relation only to her office as Vice President. Because, you know, she was occupying the DepEd Secretary portfolio in her concurrent capacity as Vice President. Now, you don't distinguish the actions made, especially the anomalous actions, the impeachable offenses made because it's with the department, pertains to the Department of Education. Just to explain it further, Madam Chair, what if the Vice President kills someone? It doesn't say it's in relation to or as Vice President and as DepEd Secretary, but that crime happens during her incumbency as Vice President. She may have two hands, as OVP, as VP, and as DepEd, but she has only one brain. She has one persona. She is the same person. Again, the Supreme Court says, during the incumbency of the impeachable official, but not in relation to. There's a big difference between that, the use of those phrases, during her incumbency and also in relation to her functions or duties as Vice President. So that is my counter
With
argument
all due
to the
respect to
position
the
made.
Honorable Dilima and the Honorable Rodriguez, I believe that this issue has been deliberated upon amply during our determination of sufficiency in substance and even in the sufficiency in ground. So, with the indulgence of all the members, let us proceed to vote on the motion for issuance of subpoena duces tecum and subpoena ad testificandum with respect to Attorney Gloria A. Camora and all the documents pertaining to the confidential fund in 2022 and 2023, both of the Department of Education and the Office of the Vice President. The same has been seconded. The motion was also objected to. Let us now proceed to vote. Members, please be ready to vote. Those who are in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand.
Ayan, nagkakaroon po ng bilangan ng boto para sa motion for the issuance ng subpoena duces tecum ad testificandum.
You may put down your hands. Those who are not in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. You may put down your hand, Honorable Rodriguez. Those who abstain, please raise your right hand. That concludes the voting. Committee Secretariat, result please.
Binilang na ho yung boto, mga kabombo, kung ilan yung pabor na mag-issue ng subpoena para dun sa opisyal ng Commission on Audit upang ilabas yung mga dokumento. Ayan, nabilang na ho.
With 29 votes in the affirmative, 1 vote in the negative, and 0 abstention, the motion is granted. The committee is directed to issue the necessary subpoena duces tecum and subpoena ad testificandum to Attorney Gloria A. Camora, and with respect as well to the production of pertinent documents on confidential fund of both the DepEd and the Office of the Vice President in 2022 and 2023. So ruled. Honorable
Yan, mga
Dilima.
kabombo, yung naging botohan tungkol ho ito sa pag-issue ng subpoena laban dito sa isang o para sa isang individual na magbibigay linaw sa usapin, no? Particular ito si Attorney Gloria Camora. Siya ho ay nasa Commission on Audit, mga kabombo, at pinai-issuehan ng subpoena duces tecum ad testificandum para mailabas niya yung mga dokumento at makapagbigay din siya ng kanyang salaysay, mga kabombo. So yan yung isa sa mga motion. Pakinggan pa natin ang nagpapatuloy na pagdinig.
It's very clearly alleged in the complaint of the Sabalia et al.
There is a motion raised by the Honorable Dilima to issue subpoena duces tecum and subpoena ad testificandum to Ramil Lagunoy Madriaga, and for the production of affidavit dated November 29, 2025, as well as any other evidence in his possession. The same has been seconded by Vice Chair Dumogan. Is there any objection?
Madam Chair, objection because again, there is a statement here in the third column that it's also his testimony on the DepEd's confidential funds where we have no jurisdiction. Objection, Madam Chair.
Considering that the motion has been objected to, we shall now proceed to vote. Committee on Justice members, please be ready to vote. This is on the motion for the issuance of subpoena duces tecum and subpoena ad testificandum to Ramil Madriaga, as well as for the production of his affidavit and any other evidence in his possession. Those who are in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand.
Tumaas na ho ng kamay yung mga pabor na ipatawag si Ramil Madriaga, ang nagpapakilalang dating tauhan o nagpakilalang dating bagman
You may put down your hands.
Vice Presidente.
Those who are not in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand.
Okay.
Those who abstain, please raise your right hand.
Consistent si Representative
That
Rufus
concludes the
Rodriguez
voting. Committee
sa kanyang
Secretariat, result please.
Kagaya kanina mga kabombo ay meron pa ring bilang ng boto na nakuha na 29 at 1 ang tumutol sa katauhan ni Representative Rufus Rodriguez at wala namang nag-abstain. Ito kukumpirmahin na ng Chair.
One vote in the negative and 0 abstention. The motion is hereby granted. The Committee on Justice is directed to issue the necessary subpoena duces tecum and subpoena ad testificandum to Ramil Madriaga and for the production of his affidavit dated November 29, 2025 and any other evidence in his possession. So ruled.
So kunin natin ang mga karagdagan pang update mula ho dyan. Itong bank records din kasi kabilang ho dun sa pinapasabina. Kuha tayo ng update mula kay Bombo Isa Cotoner. Bombo Isa?
Yes, Bombo. Dennis, nagpapatuloy nga yung committee hearing dito sa House of Representatives kung saan kanina lamang napakinggan natin yung naging 4 na motion at ito naman ay agad pinagdesisyon na nitong committee nga. Particular, una muna dito, no, Bombo Dennis, yung para sa request ng subpoena para dito sa NBI, no, o yung National Bureau of Investigation. Ipinasa ng House Committee on Justice ang pag-issue ng subpoena sa National Bureau of Investigation upang makuha ang mga record ng investigasyon kaugnayan sa umanay banta ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Ang investigasyon ay may kinalaman doon sa mga pahayag umano laban kina Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr., First Lady Liza Marcos at dating House Speaker Martin Romualdez. Layunin ng komite na makuha ang mga dokumento at ebidensya mula sa National Bureau of Investigation upang makatulong sa kanilang pagdinig na masuri ang aligasyon. Kaugnay niyan, ito rin ay mayroon din ipinasa na motion itong komite sa botong 34 na affirmative, 1 na negative at 0 abstain. Ipinasa rin ng komite na isabpina ang Office of the Ombudsman upang kunin ang mga kopya ng Statement of Assets, Liabilities and Net Worth ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Kabilang sa hihingi ng kanyang SALN mula taong 2007 hanggang 2013, 2016 hanggang 2022 at 2022 hanggang 2025. Nagpa siya ang komite sa gitna ng pagdinig kaugnay ng mga impeachment complaint laban nga yan sa Vice Presidente. Kanina rin, Bombo Dennis ay nais din ipasabina pagdating dito kay Attorney Gloria Camora ng Commission on Audit at ito ay ipinasa rin ng komite sa botong 29 na affirmative, 1 na negative at 0 abstain. Kaya naman ay ilalabas na nila yung subpoena para doon sa mga dokumento at pag-appear nga nito ni Attorney Gloria Camora and others. Kasi actually, Bombo Dennis, 5 itong ipapatawag with regards doon sa mga dokumento na may kinalaman doon sa confidential funds nga ng Department of Education. At ang pinakahuli, Bombo Dennis nga na pinag-uusapan dito na nag-motion din si Representative Leila de Lima at agaran din naman tong pinagbotohan at ipinasa dito nga kay Ramil Madriaga. So sa botong 29 affirmative, 1 negative at 0 abstain ay ipapatawag itong si Ramil Madriaga kung saan siya nga daw umano ang bagman nito ni Vice President Sara Duterte. So ito yung mga latest na nangyaring motion dito at inaantabayanan pa natin, Bombo Dennis, yung mga magiging action pa dito sa House of Representatives kasi hanggang ngayon ay nagpapatuloy yung mga motion para nga doon sa mga ipapatawag na pwedeng tumistigo o umarap dito sa House Committee on Justice, Bombo Dennis.
Okay, so mula dun sa bilang ng mga dumadalo kanina, nadagdagan pa ba ito, Bombo Isa? At kumusta yung presensya ng mga observer din dyan sa mismong venue ng pagdinig? Knowing na nakabakasyon ngayon, naka-break ngayon ng Kongreso, Bombo Isa.
Oo nga, kanina nga, Bombo Dennis, katulad nga nung nabanggit ko kanina, nagsimula nga yung bilang nung mga mambabatas dito ay nasa 35 kasi nga 34 ang affirmative. Tapos ay isa ang negative. So nakikita natin dun sa mga susunod na motion ay bumababa yung bilang, pero yung bilang rin naman dito sa loob ng Committee Justice ay sapat pa naman para doon nga sa mga nagpapatuloy na motion. So yan yung ating napapansin dito, no? At patuloy pa rin naman yung nangyayaring committee hearing nga para dito sa House Justice Panel, Bombo Denny.
So, yung iba siguro baka naka-lunch break, nakikita mo ba dyan na Bombo Isa kung nagsiserve sila ng pagkain habang ongoing itong hearing o may separate venue para dun sa mga mambabatas at iba pang dumadalo dyan para pansamantalang mag-take ng kanilang lunch habang ongoing itong hearing?
Yes, Bombo Dennis, so nakikita naman natin yan na may nagsiserve ng mga pagkain dito nga sa ating mga kongresista. Actually, kanina may mga napapansin din tayong lumalabas nga dito sa may People's Center, pero kasi yung iilan din sa kanila, Bombo Dennis, ay bumabalik din naman, no, dito sa House Committee on Justice hearing nga rin talaga. Baka mamaya ay meron muna silang pupuntahan, pero inaasahan naman na babalik sila dito, no, sa nagpapatuloy na pagdinig, Bombo Dennis.
Sige, with that, maraming salamat, Bombo Isa, from your end.
Yan muna, latest update mula dito sa House of Representatives. Ito si Bombo Isa Cotoner, and this is Bombo Radio Philippines, the number one and most trusted source of news and information. Basta Radyo, Bombo.
Sa pagpapatuloy ng atin hong mga balita sa Bombo Network News, tinabla ni Bicol Saro Party List Representative Terry Ridon ang naging comment ng kampo nitong si Vice President Sara Duterte. Pero bago ho yan, mga kabombo, proceed muna tayo dun sa pagdinig dyan sa Kamara. May mga panibagong development ating alamin.
PSA verification made from PSA Civil Registry System database on the Certificate of Live Birth, Marriage, and Death on several names found in the submissions of the OVP and DepEd, particularly the following: certification dated December 8, 2024 and certification dated December 11, 2024. Do I hear a second?
Second.
The same has been seconded. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is granted. The committee is directed to issue the necessary subpoena to the representative of the PSA as well as for the production of the documents mentioned therein.
Madam Chair, just a manifestation.
The Honorable Marcoleta is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I recall during the previous hearings, maybe 2 or 3 past hearings ago, I raised the issue of procedural due process when I said that ginanap ng Kongreso ang trabaho na di dapat nila ginagawa dahil ito ay trabaho ng COA. And I was referring to the past hearings made by the Quadcom, or if I'm not mistaken, the Committee on Good Governance. And the chair remarked that wala pong kinalaman ang mga past hearings ngayong hearing ng impeachment ni BP Sara. Pero ngayon po ay tila ginagamit natin at humihingi tayo ng dokumento mula sa mga hearings na yon. So ako po ay nagugulumihanan. Kala ko po ba walang kinalaman ang mga past hearings ng Quadcom o ng Committee on Good Government, pero tayo po ay nagbabalik tanaw at kukuha ng mga dokumento mula sa archives ng hearing na yon. May I be clarified, Madam Chair?
This impeachment proceeding pertains to the fitness to hold public office of our Vice President Sara Zimmerman C. Duterte. That is the reason why manifestations pertaining to the past inquiry of Quadcom and even of the Committee on Good Government was discouraged by the chairperson. Nevertheless, all the manifestations of the Honorable Marcoleta are duly noted by the Committee on Justice. Now we proceed. We have discussed already all the pending matters before the committee, and the chair wishes to reiterate the previously announced schedules for our subsequent hearings. That includes April 14. After this announcement, April 14, April 22, and April 29.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable Tino first and then the Honorable D.S. Konghon.
Madam Chair, may I make an additional motion for the issuance of a subpoena?
Like to make another motion for the
Yes.
issuance of subpoena.
I move that a subpoena be issued to Attorney Michael Wesley Poa in his capacity as the former Chief of Staff of the Vice President and DepEd Secretary from 2022 to 2023. In such capacity, he has very material and relevant information on how the confidential funds in the DepEd were used, and in particular, he had a direct role in the preparation of the accomplishment reports relating to the use of the DepEd's confidential funds, some of which these accomplishment reports have been the subject of the request for subpoena that this committee has approved.
May
So
we
I
hear
so
from
move, Madam
our
Chair.
endorser? Would you like to comment to the motion of the Honorable Tino? He wishes for the issuance of subpoena ad testificandum to Attorney Michael Poa, considering that during that time, he was assuming the position of
Chief of Staff of the DepEd Secretary.
COS
Yes.
of DepEd.
Undersecretary, with the rank of Undersecretary.
Honorable De Lima?
My motion was pertained only to the custodian of those COA audit records, including liquidation reports, disbursement vouchers, certifications, and related submissions from the custodian, the official custodian of the Intelligence and Confidential Funds Audit Office of the Commission on Audit. I won't have any strong objection to that request, since it's related to this item.
All right,
The
so
subject matter of the first motion that I put forth, which was approved by the body.
So the
Thank you.
chair will now act on the motion. The
Madam
committee
Chair.
will now act on the motion. Is that an objection to the motion of the
Definitely.
Honorable Tino?
I object. Are there documents that the Chief of Staff, Attorney Poa, has signed that he would be a witness to identify? May I ask the proponent?
Before we entertain the objection of the Honorable Rodriguez, let me just formalize that there is a motion raised by the Honorable Tino to issue a subpoena ad testificandum to Attorney Michael Poa, considering that he was the Chief of Staff of the Office of the Department of Education during the alleged period of 2022 and 2023. Do I hear a second?
Second.
The same has been seconded by the Honorable D.S. Konghon. Now let's hear the objection of the Honorable Rodriguez.
Madam Chair, I could not find nexus borne by evidence or ultimate facts that would now make the Chief of Staff and lawyer of the Vice President to be subpoenaed. In fact, he has entered this appearance as counsel. So I would like to know whether there are documents which he certified or he signed that would make him be able to be invited to be given subpoena to appear in this committee. Otherwise, then we can, just because they are in the office of the Vice President, we'll be giving subpoena to everybody there in the Vice President's office. So I object, and I would like to know about that. Are there documents that would show that he has been part of these confidential funds?
Yes, Madam Chair. In the third complaint endorsed by the Honorable De Lima, there is a section extensively discussing the role that then USEC POA played in preparing the accomplishment reports pertaining to the use of the confidential funds, where and the complaint cites the transcripts of the hearings of the Committee on Good Governance on this matter, where USEC POA admits that one, he was ordered by the Vice President to submit these accomplishment reports. And also cited in the complaint that the several Army units denied what was claimed in these accomplishment reports.
So we've heard the justification of the Honorable Tino. We've heard as well the justification and the objection of the Honorable Rodriguez. We are a collegial body, so we shall now proceed to vote on the motion
Before
of the
the
Honorable
voting,
Tino.
Madam Chair, I would like the proponent to show to us documents, certifications that had led to the release of these confidential funds.
The process of utilization of the alleged confidential funds is not confined to the documents. There could be actions that contributed to the utilization of confidential fund, which might be covered by the testimony of the possible witnesses.
Okay. Well, starting from paragraph 269 of the third complaint, page 90, there is a reference to former DepEd spokesperson. He was spokesperson as well as Chief of Staff, 𝐂𝐿𝐶𝐂, testifying that he received envelopes directly from Vice President Sara herself. So this has to do with the allegation on bribery. And further, and there are other sections as well pertaining to the use of the confidential funds, Madam Chair. If Congressman Rodriguez would want, we can provide, given enough time, Madam Chair.
Oh, Madam Chair, we are now voting, so we should be able to get it. If there is. The fact that he is Chief of Staff and Counsel will not, implicate him to be able to have that if there is no document. So I would object to that, Madam Chair.
With the indulgence of these two gentlemen, as to whether or not there's relevance in the presentation of Attorney 𝐂𝐿𝐶𝐂 will be a question that rests on the judgment of the justice members. We shall now proceed to vote. Those who are in favor of the motion for issuance of subpoena ad testificandum to Attorney 𝐂𝐿𝐶𝐂, please raise your right hand.
Ayan, nagkakaroon mga kabombo ng bilangan ukol sa motion na ipatawag itong si Attorney 𝐂𝐿𝐶𝐂, ang dating Chief of Staff ni Vice President Sara Duterte nung ito'y kalihim pa ng Department of Education. Ang rango niya ay Undersecretary.
You may put down your hands. Those who are not in favor of the motion. Thank you, Honorable Rodriguez. 2, 3. Were you able to count? Those who abstain, please raise your right hand. That concludes the voting. We shall announce the result.
So nadagdagan mga kabombo yung mga kontra doon sa motion. Kanina ay isa lamang si Representative Rufus
With
Rodriguez.
34 votes in the affirmative, 3 votes in the negative, and 0 abstention. The motion is granted. The committee is directed to issue the necessary subpoena ad testificandum to Attorney 𝐂𝐿𝐶𝐂. So ruled.
Madam Chair,
The Honorable Jokno.
there is still one more pending incident, I believe, that pertains to the petition that this representation filed with the House, which was referred last Wednesday to the committee. This is a petition under Section 8 of the Rules on Impeachment, which provides that the House may, upon proper petition, provide adequate protection to a complainant or witness if it is shown that the personal safety of the witness is in jeopardy because of participating in the impeachment proceeding. I will no longer reiterate what is contained in my petition, Madam Chair, but if I may just add a few points that I believe are important for the consideration of the committee. Una-una po, para sa kaalaman ng taong bayan, hiniling natin ang proteksyon para kay Ramil Madriaga para makapunta siya rito at magbigay ng kanyang testimonya under oath sa harap ng committee ito. Standard po ito sa sinumang saksi, pero mas mahalaga ito dahil may mga direktang ulat na galing mismo kay Ginoong Madriaga na may panganib sa kanyang buhay. In his own sinumpaang salaysay, sinabi niya, and I quote, "Araw-araw na rin nagsasabi sa akin, delikado na talaga ang buhay mo, seryoso. Ingat Ram, balita ko mataas-taas ang reward money sa iyo, secure mo ang family mo, at iba pa. Sa loob ko ay nakakaramdam ako ng sobrang takot. Ang takot na yon ay hindi lang sa sarili ko, kundi pati sa aking pamilya. Napaparanoid na rin po ako kasi posible rin itong mangyari na lasunin ako. Halos hindi na ako mapakali, kuminsan at hindi ko maiwasan magduda na rin sa mga fellow PDLs at kahit po mismo sa mga jail officers dahil sa pagsiwalat ko ng issue kay VP Sara Duterte. Madam Chair, these threats have already escalated. According to his affidavit, on March 3, 2026, a detainee with a pending homicide case attempted to forcibly drag Mr. Madriaga into a confined bodega area within the jail. According to Mr. Madriaga, and I quote, "Ayon sa mga naririnig ko sa loob ng kulungan, ang bodegang ito ay sinasabing pinagawa ni dating Congressman Arnie Teves. Isa sa mga impormasyon na nakuha ko ay si Kong Arnie Teves ang gusto magpatumba sa akin," end quotation. Kinumpirma naman po ni DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla na binisita ni Vice Presidente si dating Congressman Teves sa kulungan noong October 19, 2025. Base ito sa ulat ng Inquirer na mismo ang Vice President ang nag-attach sa kanyang perjury complaint laban kay Ginoong Madriaga. Ito ay matatagpuan mismo sa Annex V sa complaint affidavit na minarkahang Annex 5 sa Consolidated Verified Answer ad cautelam ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Just to be clear, this is not intended to accuse anyone. I'm merely raising a concern in our quest to find the truth. If we allow a witness to be intimidated, hurt, or God forbid, killed, then we fail in our constitutional mandate. In terms of what kind of adequate protection I believe would be necessary, I believe that would entail three things, Madam Chair. Number one, that the security for the witness be beefed up, particularly by the National Bureau of Investigation. Second, that his attendance when he is required to appear here be done in a secure manner, that there is sufficient security for his transport here, and also while he is here to testify, that he be put in a secure place. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Would you like to raise the necessary motion with respect to the protective custody of witness Ramil Madriaga?
Yes, Madam Chair. In line with Section 8 of the Rules of the House on Impeachment, I move that adequate protection be provided to Mr. Ramil Madriaga, consisting of three things. Number one, that the security where he is presently detained be beefed up, particularly by the National Bureau of Investigation. Number two, that his attendance, when required by the committee, be secured as well, so that his safety will be, so that his life will not be put in danger. And number three, that while he is testifying before this committee, that again proper safeguards be put in place to ensure his that his life will not be endangered. I so move, Madam Chair.
So for clarification, the Honorable Jokno, you are requesting, in line with protective custody, is to augment the current security with the NBI security.
Yes, Madam Chair.
You are also requested for sufficient security during his transport to the hearing of the Justice Committee.
And
And you also requested for a secured and safe place for his confinement
while he is testifying. Yes.
while he is testifying before the Justice Committee. So we've heard the details of the protective custody which are being requested by the Honorable Jokno by way of his motion. There is a motion to formalize the same. There's a motion for protective custody of witness Ramil Madriaga consisting of augmented security by the NBI, security during transport to hearings of the Justice Committee, and secured place of confinement during the hearing as well of this committee. Do I hear a second?
I second the
Madam Chair.
motion.
The same
Madam
has
Chair.
been seconded.
Madam Chair.
Point of
May we know the pleasure of the Honorable Rodriguez? Are
Madam
you-
Chair, I would like to know whether, directly, whether the motion would transfer custody of Mr. Madriaga to the House of Representatives premises.
May we be clarified on that, the Honorable Jokno?
I did not include that in my motion, Madam Chair.
I understand that the motion is only to make sure that he is in a secured place of confinement.
Yes. Madam Chair, it has already been stated that the Honorable Director of NBI has already assigned personnel to watch 24 hours. Mr. Madriaga in Camp Bagondiwa. In fact, the jail superintendent has already stated that Madriaga has been transferred to a solitary cell so that there will be no other people there that will endanger his life. And so, Madam Chair, with the presumption, Madam Chair, of regularity of functions and that our witnesses will be fully protected, there's no need for this motion. Secondly, Madam Chair, Ramil Madriaga is a polluted source. He is facing kidnapping with murder charges. In 2021, one member of the anti-kidnapping gang was killed. The PNP member of the anti-kidnapping gang. And then they were arrested in 2022, 2023. That's why he is in jail. And now we're going to give credence to a polluted
Chair.
affidavit.
Point
Madam
of
Chair,
order.
no,
There
Madam
is a
Chair.
point of order,
Let us clarify,
Honorable
we're trying to
Rodriguez.
protect somebody who is a polluted source. In fact, in
Madam
the
Chair.
cases of the
Honorable
Supreme Court.
Rodriguez, there's a point of order.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Let's hear the point of
Premature.
order. The Honorable De
Madam
Lima is
Chair, I
recognized.
submit that it's clearly premature for anyone to raise an issue of credibility on the part of the intended witness. He's not yet testifying. He will testify. And therefore, issues of credibility can be raised in the questioning, in the clarificatory questioning. Mr. Madriaga can be asked about those things during the hearing, the proper stage of the hearing, but not at this point. So it's out of order. Any such statement relating to the issue of credibility, statements like a polluted source, that is not yet proper at this stage of the proceedings.
Would you
Madam
like to
Chair.
raise a motion concerning the manifestations of the Honorable Rodriguez with respect to the credibility of Ramil Madriaga?
I move that that particular part of the manifestation of the Honorable Congressman Rufus Rodriguez with respect to Mr. Madriaga being allegedly a polluted source and the related statements with respect to the issue of his credibility be stricken off the records.
Is there any second?
Second, Madam
The
Chair.
same has
Madam
been
Chair.
seconded. Is there any
I
objection?
will, yes, of course, Madam Chair, because we are
Two
trying to...
motions are pending now.
Yes.
One is the motion for the issuance of subpoena motion for protective custody of Ramil Madriaga, raised by the Honorable Chel Jokno, and second is the motion to strike off from the record the manifestation concerning the credibility of Ramil Madriaga. The same has been seconded as well.
This presentation is not out of order. We are discussing about giving a bundle of rights, 3. All of this to be able to give that advantage, that perceived, safety issues which are not. That's why me stating that to give this bundle of rights, to give this protection, to all of this custody and so forth in a safe place, should not be given to a polluted source. That is the point that I have. And therefore, it is not out of order. We are discussing, we are objecting to this particular motion. And that is the reason why, these are the reasons why I say that we have to know this person whom we are giving all of these extra advantages and extra attention and care which he does not deserve.
Madam Chair,
The Honorable De Lima.
Mr. Madriaga is listed as one of the witnesses for the complainants. And that's why I asked for the issuance of subpoena jus tecum. And it's very clear under Section 8 of the Rules of Procedure in Impeachment Proceedings. Protection to complainants or witnesses. The House may, upon proper petition, provide adequate protection to a complainant or witness if it is shown that the personal safety of the complainant or witness is in jeopardy because of participating in the impeachment proceedings. And we have heard the manifestation and the explanation of the Honorable 𝐂𝐎𝐿 about the threat, the alleged threat to his safety. And therefore, it is very much in order that we tackle the issue of grant of protection.
Mga kabombo at mga ka-Star Nation, yan ho ang nagpapatuloy na pagdinig kaugnay sa impeachment case nito si Vice President Sara Duterte, at daron na tayo sa yugto na ipapatawag itong si Ramil Madriaga at pansamantalang ikukustudiya habang ongoing yung pagdinig. At isa ho ito sa masalimuot na bahagi sapagkat kinukontra nitong si Representative Rufus Rodriguez yung pagtanggap dito kay Madriaga dahil aniya ay polluted source ang naturang persona. At kung bibigyan pa siya ng perks kagaya ng dagdag na seguridad at pananatili dyan sa jurisdiction ng Kamara, ito ay kanyang tinututulan o ni Representative Rodriguez. Bagay na patuloy ho na dinidiscuss ng mga miyembro ng House Committee on Justice. Samantala tayong papatlang mga kabombo upang bigyang daan yung mga commercials and iba pang mga paalala mula sa ating mga himpilan ng Bombo Radyo Philippines. Iba't ibang dako po ng ating bansa, and mamaya mag-resume ho tayo sa pamamagitan ng pagpapatuloy ng tie-up dito ho sa mga kaganapan mula dyan sa Kamara de Representantes. At yan ang mga update ang ating pagtutok dito sa Bombo Network News kaugnay ng impeachment hearing sa kaso ni Vice President Sara Duterte. This is Bombo Radio Philippines, the #1 and most trusted source of news and information. Basta Radio, Bombo!
For the most trusted source of news and information, visit our website at www.bomboradio.com. Follow us on Bombo Radio mobile app, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and X, formerly Twitter. Like, share, and stay connected. Anytime, anywhere.
Limpyo nga palibot, luwas nga kabuhi sa balatian. Reduce, reuse, recycle, kag hindi magaboy sang basura bisan diin. Mangin responsable, protektahi ang palibot kag kinaiyahan. Mangin responsable sa paghimos sang imo nga basura. Pagproteher sa environment, unahon ta.
Kung nga panahon sang social media, isa lang ka-click, pwede ka makabulig, pero pwede ka man makapakalain. Amo ina nga importante, untaton ang cyberbullying. Madamo subong nga kabataan